Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Little impromptu live stream. The validation boy. April 8th, 2017. Oh yeah. Get my screen. 8 watching right now at this point. It's good to have you guys. I sent links out to a bunch of people. Just want to do a short little live stream, see what's going on in the community. I know that They Lie Ohio is going to be doing a live stream tonight. I sent him a link. I'd like him to pop in, maybe just talk about it for just a minute. If you're out there, Ohio, and you want to hop in, I sent you the link, bro. You could just kind of promote your show that you're going to do tonight. Okay. Looks like we might have a surprise guest in here. Okay. Might have a surprise guest coming in just a moment. See how that works out. We got Arwen in the house. We got Nathan Oakley. Let's do the first 5, like always. In at number 1 was Nathan Oakley. In at number 2 was Arwen. I hope I'm saying that right. At number 3, thinks he's at number 4, but it's really number 3, Jibby Jedi. If you'd like to come in, man, just, shoot a message here in the thing, and I'll find you on, try to find you on there. Ryan Alves is watching. I'd love to have Ryan Alves come on. Arwen, okay, I'm saying it perfectly. All right, good. Tomfoolery, the ISS, has joined us and says, love surprises. Hey, man, if you want, find me on the Hangouts, and I will have you on as a guest. But, not at first. I got to have another guest in here first. I got a surprise guest that might be joining. And they kind of deserve the floor. My guest deserves the floor all to themselves. But in the meantime, let's shed some light on the situation. Show you guys something that I got today. Got a little something for myself today. Just a glass of water. Oh, hey, we've been joined. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, you were a little side. Yeah, we see you. You were a little sideways there for a second.
Oh, wait, am I right ways up now?
Yeah, now it's good.
Okay, I don't have headphones because I'm in my car. I was just walking in the park. Outside, a beautiful day in Houston, Texas. It's 81 degrees, kind of hot. So just got back in my car. I'm at the gas station and decided to join your chat. How's it going? I have my Starbucks as well. So if there's feedback or anything, I can't control it because I don't have headphones.
I think it's good. I think we're all good. Check this out, Patricia. First time ever.
Oh, yeah. Chlorophyll drops into distilled water, if you can get distilled water. It's the elixir of life. Some people call it plant blood. It's very healthful. Yeah, I mean, if you already have a great diet, it's a wonderful thing to add. If you have a horrible diet, it can't hurt, right?
I got a pretty good diet. Ooh, I think I put too much in there. It's kind of dark. Oh, well, let's try it out.
That's all right.
Never tasted this before. I heard about this from Daphne Rimmel. I don't think she mentioned that you shouldn't drink it directly because it will stain your teeth, just like it will stain your counter.
Oh, interesting. It's never really stained mine, but I don't make it as dark as yours.
It's pretty much flavorless. It's pretty much flavorless.
That's why you can put it in. You can put it in with other things, like whatever something good. I wouldn't suggest beer. That would negate the effects. Something healthful.
So don't put it in a Coca-Cola.
Exactly. No Diet Coke, which is probably worse than regular Coke. Anything diet would be way worse than the regular. In fact, the original Coke, they call it Mexican Coke in some parts of the United States, is the one that's actually made with cane sugar. That probably doesn't have too many chemicals in it like the regular Coke does and all the versions of Diet Coke. So And it tastes like, I've had the like a little bit of the Mexican Coke, they call it, which comes in the glass bottles. And with the cane sugar, it's actually pretty tasty. Reminds me of being a child and having a treat soft drink. We were not allowed soft drinks, but occasionally we could have a little. And it was, that brings me back to that flavor.
Definitely. Yeah, I've had
Okay,
it too.
I'm driving now, so if I crash.
No, it's okay. I think I stained my finger with this stuff. Oh
Well, it won't stain your teeth. I mean, I drink tons of coffee and it only stains my teeth like right now, like while I'm drinking it. Later it'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Brush with baking soda. Baking soda will take it off the counter, put like a little baking soda and hydrogen peroxide, and that'll probably get it off your counter too.
Okay.
This is the health tip cleaning tip show, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So, is there anything specific you'd like to talk about? I don't know how I could segue into it without leaving certain names out and leaving certain names in. Is there anything you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I'll just discuss something that's been on my mind lately. There was a
hey, your phone's turning. It's turning and slipping.
Oh gosh, it's on a magnet. So
okay.
When I hit bumps, it'll go, ooh, I can't really hold it while I drive. So you'll have to put up with me in the fun house or whatever, on the trampoline or something, whatever it looks like. So Dell of Beyond the Imaginary Curve had a hangout today. It was a very good show, lots of good chat, no negativity, no finger pointing or name calling and all of that. However, I love Dell's on the street work too, when he goes out and talks to the people. I really love that. Everybody in Flat Earth who does anything, whether they have a channel or not, and gets out somehow, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, YouTube channels, Vimeo, whatever, gets truth out their own way, even if it's talking to their best friend at dinner, is fantastic. I don't think there's any right way or wrong way to do it, as long as you do it. And even if you don't want to do it and it's in your own heart, I guess that's good enough too, to each his own. I'm no one to tell anybody, do it this way, do it my way. But Dell did do a very provocative teaser or advertisement for his Saturday show, which I think he put out Friday, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, and where he's mimicking a well-known flat earther in his intro to his promo and the exit of his promo for his show. And some people thought that the mimicry was of me. I pretty much knew who the mimicry was when I saw it, didn't approve of it no matter who it was, because that's not my thing. Here I am saying I don't tell people what to do, and I am going to say that I do say one thing: be nice. Agree with the person that you agree with their philosophy of how to do flat earth, or agree with their beliefs, but at least showing, maybe not even nice, respect toward everybody, because we're all here on this plane and we all are in the process of awakening. We all have something to contribute, regardless of if it's the way you wish they'd contribute or not. We all are valuable here. That's one thing Flat Earth has taught us. We all have value. And to belittle somebody else's value by belittling them, by miming and mimicking them, I thought was beneath Dell. But he does so much good work. What do? We say, oh, he does great work, so we write off that. Lots of people believe that. And I myself perhaps am guilty of that, because I was in his chat on his show today. Very, 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 very prominent earther went into Dell's promotional video for this show and commented, great Patricia Steere impression, LOL, or I love it, or laugh out loud, I don't know, something. Let's name him, Eric Dubay. He got it wrong and assumed that impression at the beginning and end of the promo, which is still on Dell's channel now, was of me. And so did, last I saw, 40 people who gave it a thumbs up. Now, I know, being a woman in Flat Earth, being somebody who doesn't do experiments, admittedly so, I've received a lot of criticism. Who knows why? Well, I have a really good idea how it started. one day back in 2015, in September, I believe it was, I interviewed Mark Sargent, and I got the label shill with a giant rubber stamp across my forehead from Eric Dubé and his camp. Lots of stuff on IFERS, all of it not proof, just she's a shill. But he is shill, that's not proof. But then there's a lot of people who have very weak minds who believe things without proof. That's weird in flat earth because we're the ones looking for proof of NASA lies. And we're the ones scanning the horizon to look for the curve and looking for the proof. However, if somebody calls another person a shill, there's a percentage of flat earthers who will go, oh, yeah, shill. Kind of like those things on Sesame Street, those Muppets who were like, yip, 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 globe, yip, 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 yip. That's the way a lot of flat earthers are. Yip, 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 shill, shill, shill. And it's really sad. That's how it is, though. But I was pretty shocked Eric Dubé, number one, got the impression wrong and said it was me. And number two, people who were also fooled. Now, I don't think an impression of anybody is good. I think it's the wrong way to go about this. Yet, I'm not the leader of Flat Earth. No one is. But people who are here to divide will show their faces. And Eric did that yet again today. That's it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I've made those mistakes myself. I've done those things in the past. I used to mock, I used to try to mock you and Nathan and everybody. I said, not that way. I didn't do impressions of you guys like they've done, but I made videos about certain people, and I think your phone's moving there again.
It's on this thing. It's on a really cool magnet that's attached to my. And every time I move, it moves. So.
Yeah, I got this thing. It's called
Ormaker. The show is about you, not me. I could even turn my camera off if it's better.
Whatever you like. But I made those mistakes, and it's weird. It's an organic thing that happens. It's like, you gotta. On one side of the coin, it's horrible that people are doing that, but at the other side of the coin, it's this skeptical nature of the community that we're involved with.
Which is good. Which is good. We should never accept anybody at face value. We should judge them by their fruits. People who called me a shill say that I am a shill because I interviewed a man who wears a costume named Mr. Moot long time ago, over a year ago. One of the many flat earthers I've interviewed. He's a Christian flat earther. And I interviewed him because he has very good Christian flat earth content. Now, have all the flat earthers I've interviewed been Christians? No. I just interview a wide variety because I like that different perspective from all these different people. Mr. Moot is not a joke. You might look at his costume and go, what the heck? But if you look at his channel, he's a devoted flat earther and follower of Jesus. That's his thing. We didn't really talk about that as much, but mostly about flat earth and his discovery. He brought flat earth to his audience, and he has a pretty big audience. So he's awakened a lot of Christians who didn't know about flat earth with what he does. And he wears a costume while doing it. I mean, so what? Whatever it takes, whatever your thing is. What is their song, the old song that says, it's your thing, do what you're going to do. You can't tell me who to sock it to. Something along those lines. Mr. Moot's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. He's actually a very kind guy. He handmade the Flatty Award that I used in my Flatty Awards ceremonies last year and sent it to me, for free. Kind, generous, giving of spirit. He's also going to be at the Flat Earth International Conference coming up in Raleigh, North Carolina in November. He's going, paying his own way, not being paid, same as me, same as the other people. He's not a speaker, but he's going because he just wants to be around other flat earthers and spread his message. So I'm not a shill because I interviewed Mr. Moot any more than I'm a shill because I interviewed Mark Sargent anymore. I'm a shill because I interviewed Matt Powerland or Jaron or Bob of Glowbusters or Carly Sunshine, or I could continue, but it would be boring. All different people with all different perspectives on the flat earth. I don't do experiments. That doesn't make me a shill. That just makes me a person who openly is admitting it, that I've relied upon other people's experiments. And I know there's a lot of the people that are watching you now who don't do experiments too. We all can't do the same thing. Wouldn't it be a boring world if we were all the same? Our strength is in our diversity. So I think like lifting up people who are doing all sorts of things is great. I'm not in the camera yelling, tear down NASA. But there's some people that are turned off by that. There's some people that would like a softer approach. That's where I come in. We all do what we do, and I think it's great that we all do what we do. But the Eric Dubay thing, I liked Eric. I asked him to go on my show. He said he'll think about it. And in that interim, while he thought about it, I needed a guest, and I called Mark Sargent second. Mark said yes right away, so that's why I had Mark on. Could have been Eric. And then maybe Eric wouldn't have called me a shill after all. It's weird how life works out, but Eric is definitely down with trying to make me go away. But there's nobody who's going to make me go away but me. No one's going to shut down my channel, get me to cower in fear. I'm talking not just me, I'm talking all of us. No troll is going to get us to shut down our channel or deviate from our beliefs unless we ourselves find our beliefs to be lacking. Then maybe we'll change our tune. But no one's going to make us stop doing what we're doing. No amount of bullying is going to make any of us stop. Eric can gather all of his minions from IFERS to come on my channel or come elsewhere and say horrible things about me. The latest is that I'm a tranny. It doesn't matter. I know what I am, and I'm totally fine and secure in it. And when I see him belittling other people, when I see others belittling other people, I do step up. I generally don't step up for myself when I'm belittled because I don't want to give them the attention that they're craving.
Well, one of my viewers here who hangs around the scene quite a bit named Charlotte1966. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that account.
Oh yeah, definitely. We sometimes say hi to each other. Yeah.
Okay. She says, just to spread information here, this is her opinion. She says Dell's a clickbait merchant, snarling his threats, hatred, and misogyny. I don't know if I've ever seen Dell be misogynist, but I guess some people think he has been. She says he's a frightened little man hiding behind his tattoos, sitting in the dark and demanding someone bring him the answers. I think that's a little bit extreme, But at the other side of the coin, like I find it odd that like Dell kind of has like some no-name people on there, and then all of a sudden he has Eric Dubay on his show. And why would I'm just confused. Why would Eric go on that show and not your show? It just kind of doesn't make sense to me. Your show seems like a much more peaceful environment than that show. But
I am not. I mean, Eric. I don't know why Eric likes Dell. I can't explain it. I know why I like Dell, and I'm still a subscriber. Is because he's a strong voice. He's like having a man around the house, that sort of stereotypical man who's like not taking anything. He wants answers and he wants it now. I love those things about Dell, and that's why I subscribe to his channel. I get disheartened when he did the promo he did today. But there's probably people who watch my channel and say, I really like Patricia Steere, but I didn't like that thing she did today. And that's why I've not unsubscribed to Dell, because all of us do things on our channels that few people like, few people don't like. I don't see him as exhibiting misogyny. He's actually boosted up a female flat earther, rock vibes. Oh my gosh, I've got the name wrong. I can picture her icon.
It's Rock Vibrations.
Rock Vibrations, not Rock Vibes. Yeah, by sharing her story. I think he's totally equal opportunity. Maybe Charlotte thinks that because he only generally has men on his show, but there's a lot more men than women in the whole flat earth community. And in general, Dell is a sort of kind of thing. And maybe some women aren't feeling comfortable in that environment. That is no shade on Dell either. His tattoos totally don't bother me. I'm not a tattoo lover at all. I don't have any tattoos, but I think that they're cool in their artwork. I don't care about the nature of his tattoos. Some have said they were demonic or something. I'm going to say that I have no idea about that, but I also know that was probably something he was into at the time and didn't know they were demonic, or they're completely innocent and just tattoos. My brother has full sleeve tattoos, and he grew up just like I did in a, I don't know what you call it, upper middle class environment, living in a beautiful house with mommy and daddy and your normal everyday life. But when he got older and moved out, he started getting involved with metal music, which he totally loves, going to concerts. Then he opened up a rock and roll clothing t-shirt shop, t-shirt and other accessories, and got got in and got a full sleeves of tattoos. Who is he inside? Sweet, honest, loving, kind, giving, family-oriented, awesome guy. But my brother, if you look at him, he's like, his hair's cut really close. He's got full sleeve tattoos, and he kind of wears rock t-shirts, and you know what I mean? Somebody might think, oh, kind of like they might think about Dell, but I definitely don't judge a book by its cover. Just because I'm a woman, that doesn't mean I'm weak. A lot of people make that mistake about me. That's why a lot of people try treading all over me, and they mistake my silence as weakness. My silence is my strength, because when people do come at me, for the most part, I just let them dig their own grave and think what they want.
Yeah, I like how you showed up in Dell's chat, and to show your face and show everyone that you're not scared. You know, you're not going to run away from these people that are trolling, and to show everyone that, you know, you're just an honest person that just, you know, has your own opinion, has your own voice, and that you have every right to express your voice in whatever way you want, just like everybody else does.
Yeah, we all have been responsible for waking some people up to the flat earth. All of us, every one of us, even if that person was only ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. So where are you headed to today? What are you up to?
Well, kind of sort of sweaty. Hate to admit it, but I was out walking during the entire Dell show, enjoying it, listening on my iPhone, you know, with an earbud in. I gotta go pick up, this is so boring, I gotta go pick up something to put inside one of my closets to hold up brooms and mops. Wow, exciting. I should make something else up. I'm going to the store to buy a black pleather CIA spy outfit and a gun. No, I'm buying a thing to hold up brooms and mops.
Talk about machine guns. You're going to go buy some machine guns and a bazooka.
Exactly. I would love to be like that. But no.
Yeah. So we got a nice little chat going right now, and a lot of people in here.
Cool. Who's in there, since I can't, since I'm driving?
Kathy Dudley is in the house. Arwen, Tom Foolery of ISS, Victoria Sarton, Panaeus, Nathan Oakley, Charlotte. Let's see.
Is Charlotte 1960 born in 1960? I'm 63, so that's what I always assumed.
No, I actually asked Charlotte 1966 about that one time, and she says that it's an inside joke, because the last time, I think Charlotte 1966 is from the UK. I'm not sure. I've heard claims that it's Jed Skeptic's wife, but I'm not sure if that's true either. And Charlotte 1966 is a joke because 1966 was the last time a certain football club in Europe won their championship. So they named their account that to it's like a tease troll against Jed or Tim or John LeBon or somebody who is into soccer. Yeah.
I just think of it as being a woman who was born at that in, I guess, 66. I said 60. I'm sorry, 66.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm wrong. I like the name Charlotte. I like old-fashioned names like Nathan's daughter's name Eleanor. There's a lot of other names I like that are like Sophia. Older names I really like a lot.
Yeah. Dan Winfield has joined us too.
Field?
Yeah, Dan Winfield has joined us too. And so you had the show with Russian vids the other day.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
It was really good.
I mean, I thought it was really good. Anyway, I'm bragging about my own show. My show is so good. No, I mean that it was so good for me. I felt so happy during the show. Full of life and energy. And I've talked with him, I believe, just like this, but it was on Skype. I sat in my car. I was driving. We connected on Skype. It was over a year ago. And sat there in the car for 5 hours talking with him on Skype with the engine running. The conversation was that good. It wasn't a show, but we talked. And ever since then, we've sort of stayed in touch via, just messaging, and I comment on his videos. And like I said in the show I did with him, I don't believe 100% of what he says. I told that to him.
Yeah.
In fact, he probably doesn't, in the end, when all is said and done, stand by 100% of what he's ever said, because every once in a while you make a mistake. I mean, like what you said, Sean, Validation Boy, that you made mistakes and some judgments of people. We all make mistakes and judgments of people and situations. And I'm sure Russian Vids has a few of those, like, well, maybe that person isn't a tranny, or, well, maybe that wasn't a hoax. But regardless, it doesn't really matter. I like his dogged pursuit of the truth at any cost. And I don't mind the fact that he doesn't show his face, because that's his personal decision. I do like it better when I could see someone face to face, of course, but there's so many on YouTube who don't. When the internet first started and people started being in chat rooms and such, and I wasn't a part of that scene way back when, people wouldn't use their real names. So it's a logical carryover for many people who've been online for a long time to have a stage name, let's call it, or whatever, nom de plume, or whatever you want to call it, fake name.
Well, I can understand that, like Russian vids, with some of the content that he puts out there, and the fact that he's been approached by producers and stuff like that. I can see why he doesn't want to put his face out there. You know.
Yeah.
Because
I have a mental picture. I have a mental picture of what he looks like. So that's all I need. You know. He's Russian vids. He's RV. He's that guy.
Yeah. I tend to, when I can't see someone's face, I tend to put professional wrestlers that sound similar to their voice as their face. So I picture him looking like a particular professional wrestler named Kevin Owens that's out there. And he probably looks nothing like that guy. But in my mind, I imagine him looking like Kevin Owens because they have a similar tone to their voice.
Well, maybe he should be pictured better as Rowdy Roddy Piper before death.
Yeah.
Because that's the icon he uses, I guess, you know, from They Live, the movie.
Yeah. Rowdy Piper actually survived cancer in 2010 and then was really well up until he finally passed away. I don't know if you know that about Rowdy Piper.
Conspiracy regarding his death, and was his cancer in any way perhaps connected with any sort of like steroids or anything he may have used, performance enhancing drugs, let's just call them?
It might have been, but he wasn't really notoriously a steroid user. He is notorious for being a cocaine user, though, because in Ric Flair's autobiography, in Ric Flair's autobiography, he talked about how whenever they would do their shows in Mexico or in the South or in Puerto Rico, he would just take he would just take big bags of cocaine as payment instead of money. So that's what that's all about.
Those were the days probably when that sort of thing happened. I guess would that be 70s or something? I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
70s, yeah. Those were the days for that sort of thing. I was a child, but yeah, you can look back at all the old, you know, wrestling stuff and movies and the way people dressed and the way society was. There were some crazy things going on.
Simpler times. You think we'd be better off if cell phones had never been invented right now?
We wouldn't be talking because I'm using my cell phone to talk to you. Be like,
well, yeah.
Hey, baby.
No, but do you think overall society might be better off had we not taken certain steps forward in the technological arena?
Interesting. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know, because I think that there's no way to remove one aspect, like remove cell phones, because that's everything. That's so many other things that are connected to that, the way things are. What about it? Remove MTV, you know, that the whole like vanity culture of people preening and having to look really good to be in music. Before that, there was a lot of people in music who just looked horrible. You never needed to see them. And then you had to come out with a video after MTV happened. And then some people just weren't, you know, the face for, they used to call it a face for radio if you weren't that good looking. Some people didn't have a face for music.
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing in pro wrestling. You look at the guys from the 1970s and you got, you know, Dusty Rhodes and Dusty Dick, you know, and Dirty Dick Murdoch, and like these guys, big nasty looking guys, big trucker, nasty looking dudes. And now you turn on wrestling and everyone's like a playboy, you know, like a model, supermodels and stuff. Yeah, so it's the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, it's very true. I actually have seen Dusty Rhodes wrestle I almost said on purpose and in person at the same time. In purpose, very strange. Yes, I saw him in person on purpose when I was young in Florida, and I've told you that before. I've also told that to Jaron, which is weird. I'm not into wrestling, or I'm kind of very feminine, girly-ish oriented things, but something in my childhood that we did.
So when Dusty came out, the place erupted, didn't it?
And also, I learned about certain things from it, like the big elbow, when they would come down in with their elbow and fake smash somebody. And my sister and brother and I mean, this was the 70s. We were, I'm going to say, I might have been 9 or 10 or 11, something. We would do it to each other in the pool. It's like some crazy kids, with pool floats, doing the big elbow on each other in sleeper holes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Kind of
So
stupid,
at
but fun.
that time when you saw Dusty wrestle, when he hit the ring, did the place erupt? I mean, did everybody just explode?
Because I was so young, and I might have even been 13. My memory is not serving me well as to what time. I know where I lived. I know I lived in Florida, and I know the approximate time frame. I don't remember, because at that age, you don't even understand. At that time, you didn't know he was a legend at that time, but it's different than now. Now we can read about them more and learn about them more, and there's the internet and all of that. Then he was just an adult wrestling who I've seen on the TV show, not WWF. What's it called? It
Well,
was
he
called
was
something, then they changed the name.
well. I mean, there's been different wrestling companies, and he got famous in the NWA, and but then he did also work in the WWF, which is now the WWE. So I mean, he
Okay,
went.
yeah, there's too many names for me to remember. As a child, I just watched that show a little bit with my dad. Well, I mean, he was watching it. I would just sit on the couch a little bit and watch the interviews and watch them take chairs and smash them over each head, like in the hallway for interviews. And it looked fake to me even then. I never thought it was real, but it was just entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't watch TV much at all. I would never go to the TV and turn it on and start watching, except Saturday morning cartoons. So if my dad was watching something, it was usually sports, like primarily baseball. He loved the Detroit Tigers, and I was bored by baseball. But if he happened to have wrestling on, I would go and watch it, because there's a human element to it. And the human element of the interpersonal, the fights, like, I'm going to get you, and very theater, really. And I recognized that without knowing what I was recognizing, and found it entertaining when I was very young.
Yeah, that's the thing about wrestling. It's different than the other sports because it's all about their personalities. When you watch baseball, you don't get to see the pitcher's personality unless they do a 30-second interview after the show is over, and then you don't see anything about them. You don't know anything about them. But with I don't want to keep talking about wrestling with you. I'm sorry. I don't want to pigeonhole the conversation. But
I know it's probably boring for everybody. Like, what? What about flat Earth?
So Patricia Steere is on Validation Boy's show right now, and they're talking about Dusty Rhodes. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I know.
So,
And she's wearing an orange shirt, which,
oh yeah,
sorry folks, I have an orange shirt. I have several things I have a black and white checked shirt. It's an exercise top, and I've worn it even on a video I've done on my channel. This doesn't mean anything. It's a color of an exercise outfit that you can buy at Victoria's Secret. So no conspiracy theories here, please.
So you were just out having a long distance walk just to.
Yeah, there's a place here in Houston called Memorial Park, and it's quite a pretty park. You can imagine it's just like major cities have a big park in them, sort of thing. And a lot of people go out there and walk on Saturday, and it wasn't too terribly sunny, which is, my skin doesn't really take the bright sun that well. And I have a lot of sunscreen on, natural sunscreen though, non-chemical. So I was able to do it and go, get out there and get some sunlight a little bit, and also listen to Dell's show. And occasionally I would stop and go and chat, and there's people around, and I'd have to kind of go off to the side so I would be off the path, and people wouldn't be angry that I was one of those people stopping while everyone else was walking.
Yeah. What do you use for a natural sunscreen?
Let me see if I have it with me in my bag. No, I don't think I do. I usually have a little travel tube in here. It is a name, but I get it at Whole Foods, which is a big American natural products store. They have a lot of vegan things, and then they have they sell meat and chicken and fish and stuff too. But I can't really remember the name. Somebody just asked me that the other day too, and I couldn't recall the name of it. But it's a brand. It's not owned by a company that that animal tests or has animal ingredients. If you ever are interested in that sort of lifestyle, definitely shoot me a message. I can help you with that sort of journey on veganism and staying away from, you know, things. When people say that products are cruelty free, they still can contain some animal products, because it's what do they define as cruelty? A lot of people think, well, honey, beeswax, that's not cruel. Milk's not cruel because the cows live. There's all sorts of stories behind the stories behind the stories of animals and how they're used for our lifestyles. And there's more than meets the eye, just like the globe lie. So yeah, but you kind of got to do a lot of research in veganism. I'm not talking about what foods to eat. I'm talking about the well, I don't want to say morals and ethics, because that would sound like I'm saying people are not ethical or moral who aren't vegan. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you want to become that, you have to look into those things and what's in what, how they got that ingredient. And if you buy a product, because you can't make it yourself on your own, and you can make a lot of them on your own, you have to make sure that the company, let's say the company is a small independent company and its name is VB sunscreen. Well, you've got to find out if VB sunscreen is owned by a huge multi-mega conglomerate like Estee Lauder, who animal tests. Because VB sunscreen might say no animal testing, no animal ingredients, but their parent company, who's getting all the money, they're the ones that are doing the animal testing and stuff. So everything's a mess. There's really no way to be completely cruelty free. I ran over some ants as I was driving my car right now. You know, there glue in my shoes, even if they're not made of leather, is probably sourced from horses or cows' hooves. I've heard concrete that you drive on has bones of cow in it, or horses.
Wow.
You know, so I would never say I'm holier than thou, I'm vegan and you're not. No, it's just something that I found, and part of my journey toward discovery, self-discovery, and also journey toward figuring out who the heck I am and why I'm here. And it came before flat earth. So, and it wasn't overnight. I was vegetarian for a very long time. The vegan part came overnight. The first time that I saw what was really behind the story of milk, the dairy industry, and the egg industry, which I was still eating as a vegetarian. You can eat dairy and you can eat eggs. And what the very first day I saw the real footage, which I had never known even existed, of what goes on, I burst in tears like a crazy person, up all night on New Year's Eve, ripping stuff out of my cabinets and stuffing it into bags, you know, like food items, reading the labels of things and pushing them into these bags, and going through my closet and getting out, you know, certain things that I didn't know, down comforters that they pull the geese, the quills of the birds, you know, feathers out while they're alive, and screaming in pain. Just, I was crying, I was angry. It was really an emotional thing. So I kind of became vegan overnight. Once I saw the proof, I couldn't believe that I didn't see it. Now, for some people, these things aren't a problem, and I'm not, it's my life, my journey. But yeah, it was overnight. And weirdly enough, Flat Earth was kind of like that too. I saw Flat Earth clues first after looking at something funny happened on the way to the moon and astronauts gone wild, and who knows what I was looking at before that. But once I saw Flat Earth clues, I was immediately entranced and immediately was like, aha. It took me a while longer to figure out aspects, and that was found by finding other content producers like Jaron and, like, you know, a ton of other people, about satellites not being real, you know, wrapping your head around the little things. But the big idea of flat earth, sort of like the big idea of veganism, was bam, overnight.
Yeah.
And then you got to sit with it and decide, what are you going to do with this information? What are you going to do? Like, just keep it to yourself, try to tell a family member. You know, I toyed with doing a channel and I wasn't brave enough to do a channel. I didn't know how even to, I'm a technophobe, really, kind of, to start a YouTube channel. Like, what, that looks hard. I looked at it and went, how can I can talk. I wish I knew somebody who would set it up for me. It was kind of like that. And then one day I got off my laziness and just said, okay, today's the day, and set up the channel. And now I realize it's so easy. I've helped a bunch of other people set up their channels, but it's that initial fear. I think we have that about everything we do that's a new life skill, for most of us anyway. you want to do it and you put it off because you're going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I remember when I had my channel going for a while, doing my narrated pieces, and one day I decided, I'm going to go ahead and do the live streaming. And when I started like looking up how to do it, the YouTube told me I needed to download some kind of driver for this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting there getting all confused.
Oh yeah,
I'm downloading all this crap on my computer, and then I realized, wait a second, I can just literally click Google Hangouts, and it does everything for me. It does everything for you. You just click the button and there you go, you're live streaming. So
I know, it's amazing. You could do it on your phone. It's so simple. But it's like many of our fears, they seem so big until you get through the other side, and then you look at it and it's like a tiny speck and you're like, I was scared of that. Are you crazy?
Well, it is kind of big. It is a little bit of a big deal though, because people that like to watch YouTube, I'm sure when they're sitting there watching YouTube, they're thinking all these thoughts, and they're thinking, well, if I did this, then I might say something that I don't agree with at a later date, and I'll have to take that video down and da 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 da. And yeah, so it is kind of a big deal for people that take their own intellectual prowess very seriously. But at the same time, like if you're not out there saying stuff, then nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen for you. And you're going to sit there and keep watching other people and get more and more frustrated that you don't have a voice. You can't express why, what Nathan Oakley said was great, except for this one part of what he said I didn't agree with. Well, then go start a channel, and then you can.
Very, very good advice too. I think that starting a channel was a very liberating thing for me. It got me over this idea that I wasn't able or qualified, especially when, I'm like, I don't know this information that Jaron knows, or I don't know the stuff Rob Skiba knows. Are you crazy? Those guys are, different, totally different. But yet, I don't know what Math Powerland or Mark, I'm just naming big people that I was discovering back in 2015 when I first came on into this knowledge. I thought, like, no one's going to watch me. People are going to laugh at me. Like, well, who does she think she is? And then I thought, you know what? Those people probably had 0 subscribers. No, what do you mean probably? Those people had 0 subscribers the first day they started their channel too. So, and having no subscribers, it's not a badge of honor to have a lot of subscribers or to have hardly any subscribers. It doesn't matter. Doing it for yourself as a way to express your thoughts is really, it's very healthy. And I know that YouTube itself and Google, the whole conglomeration, evil entity or whatever that it is toxic. I mean, Nathan Oakley would agree with me on that. In fact, that's actually his words. It creates all sorts of weird feelings of self-doubt. You feel like people are being unsubscribed from you by Google or YouTube, or some people feel that their videos are being, the views are being held back, and some people are saying that YouTube shut my channel. And it's toxic in that whether or not those things are true, it gets people talking about them and wondering, and sometimes checking their stats. And is my video actually being seen? And it gets you into that mindset of like overthinking yourself. Even if, it's sort of toxic. And then of course, all the hate that can be slung from channel to channel and in the comment section, also highly toxic. There's that, but there's also the liberation we have that comes with the advent of technology, like you were saying, cell phones, and just this ability to communicate on the Google Plus YouTube format that are amazing. Look, we're talking about important issues now, or you were before I joined. You know what I'm saying? This is genius. Where's this been all my life? It's great.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you haven't hit the big time till somebody simulcasts your YouTube podcast, right?
or cloned your channel name.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, like, people, they get. Everyone has those self doubts. I'm gonna get on there. I'm gonna look stupid. Thing is, though, is that once you actually become a channel with content production, you're on another level. Thing is, anyone can get on that next level, but there's so many people out there that they're just scared to do a channel, or they take baby steps, just like I did. I took baby steps. I started making narrated videos. First, I even put out music. Just to be on YouTube. Then I came out with a narrated video. I came out with like 5 or 6 in a row. left them out there. I got positive responses to them. Said, I'm just going to keep doing this. After a while, you know, there was so many talk shows, so many people getting such huge amounts of subscribers and getting their views heard by so many people by doing their live streams, that I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to do a live stream. And I just really didn't want to. I was so scared, but it's amazing. Sometimes you click that mic on and the magic just happens for you. You know, it all comes into place for you.
I agree. My show with Russian Vids was one such example. At least I feel that it was a moment of magic, and we've all had that. Whether or not we make videos, we've all had that moment where we talk to a couple of people. I don't mean a public speech, or maybe a public speech where we were on point, and that feeling of being knowledgeable about what you're talking about to some degree, but not thinking that you know it all, which means confidence. Having confidence to express your feelings to more than one person. And it gives you a sort of high, not a high that you're better than other people or that you've got all the answers, but a high like, I matter. My opinion matters.
Yeah, like
Their
I can
opinion
accomplish.
matters.
Yeah, like I've accomplished something and it's a good thing, and other people can enjoy it, and other people can learn from watching me. Even if they don't like me, they're still going to learn from me, you know?
Yeah.
They're going to learn about themselves through me or anything.
And one of the things I liked about Dell's channel is that he's just broadcasting from what people call a shed. I think he's even called it a shed. He's not worried about the lighting or any of those other things. My channel, I worry about the lighting. I've taken great pains to make the lighting just right using household lamps. Why? That's just my personality. Is mine better than Dell's? Is Dell's better than mine because he doesn't care? Nope. All good. Because that's a reflection of you, and your channel should be a reflection of you, whatever that may be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, you look like you're busy, and I don't want to keep you all day.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, here I am headed out to go pick up something to hang up brooms and mops in my house. It's a glamorous life. Hey, I'll be listening while I do my stuff, and hi to everyone in chat. And thank you, Sean VB, for letting me come on.
Can I just say hi, Patricia?
Hey, how are you?
That's Gempanda.
I know. I would know that. I would know that icon anywhere. Jeremy, right?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I just wanted to say hello to you because I've never had that opportunity, and well, it's a great honor and a pleasure.
And I have to say that I like the quality and tone of your voice and the way in which you speak. We don't agree on things, but yet
no,
you've always been very respectful and like have a refined way of expressing yourself. So
I try to.
I like it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
But maybe we
Bye,
can have
all.
a better conversation one time, Patricia. I would really like
that would be lovely. Sure. Yeah. All right. Bye, all.
Thanks for coming on, Patricia. It's great having you.
Thank you.
Okay, see you soon. So, Gempanda has joined us in the live stream.
You made my night, mate.
Yeah, see the magical things I have the power to do.
Yeah. You know? I met Patricia Steere.
Who would ever thought, you know?
That's been a goal of mine for ages.
Really?
Yeah, I like Patricia Steere a lot. I think she's cool.
Let's see what's going on. All right, I'm gonna have to let's see here. I'm gonna have to have I gotta smoke a damn cigarette. So, but I can
stay. Yeah, do your thing, man.
Well, I mean, I can stay on the
How
show.
come I got a link anyway? I saw this link. I thought, let me see. So I clicked it and I saw Patricia Steere was in here, and I thought, oh yeah, well, I cannot miss this opportunity.
Yeah. Looks like we've been joined by Barbi Mcgill as well.
Hi, Barbi.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, Jeremy. I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. We must get our heads together.
Yes,
hey,
we must.
Do you think you guys can handle hosting my show for about 5 minutes?
Oh, sure. I'm sure we can.
Okay. All right. Go for it, guys. Just be nice, okay?
Yeah, we will.
Yes.
I'd like to say, first of all, on behalf of Validation Boy, that the Earth is a globe. And and he's on behalf of, it says here, he's written what I should say here. It says, I've decided to renounce my flat earthism in favor of the globe. Can you see that, Barbie? Can you see that in the chat here?
Oh, wait. What chat are we talking about, Jeremy?
The one I just made up.
Oh, man.
At least I was honest enough to admit that.
You got to keep trying, though, yeah. You're going to convert all of us flat earthers.
I don't think I will.
You won't, because, well, you know where I stand on stuff. I mean,
sure.
I think there's just a much deeper meaning to everything. It's what I think, and I'm not sure anybody knows. So I'm not even convinced it's a lie. I'm just, you know, because if everyone is in ignorance, then who's lying? Nobody. Anyway, I can't prove it, so I will be fair in saying that much. I can't prove it. But anyhow, I watched your moon video.
Oh, did you? Oh, cool.
Yeah, like freaking 15 times, dude. At least.
Hey, I'm working on a new one, and it's big.
Is it? Yeah, you had me there on a few things. Seriously.
Oh, good. I'm going to get you on the load more with the new one. But it's taking forever. Oh my God, it's taking so long. I've been on it for weeks, and I'm like 17 minutes in or something like that. It's probably going to be like 90 minutes or something like that. So, gosh.
Wow, you're laying it on thick, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a big production. It's probably so big that it will never get finished.
You got to finish it. I'm still in the same place. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Although some of the points that you made were excellent. Particularly I'll tell you what got me is the one about the window.
Right. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
When people actually see that spelled out and what footage wasn't shown, it kind of really changes their view on that. I think that one of the problems I find though with the whole moon hoax thing is the arguments against it they're just endless. You know, just when you think you've heard them all, there's another one, you know. And what I've noticed as well now is there are quite a few that are really quite complex. You know, they really take a lot of work to try and really understand what the cause of whatever the anomaly is, you know. So
I mean, I feel you on that. I mean, if you were gonna like debunk the people who are doubting it, and you know where I stand, I don't think it happened. I just don't. It's be an all-day job. You definitely have to pack a breakfast, lunch, and supper.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm hoping
at the same time,
when I release this, maybe NASA will give me a call and hire me.
I'm thinking they will.
To be one
be
of
like
their social media representatives, and they'll pay me vast sums of money. They'll actually pay me the money I'm accused of earning every day.
The check is in the mail, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I hear it too. I'm a shill too, don't you know?
Well,
I get paid as well, so.
That's why I came in this hangout, just to destroy Patricia Steere's reputation, because now she's shared a hangout with me. That's it. She's in big trouble. If she thought they were horrible to her up till now.
Honestly, she's good people. She's just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard for people to understand that. Because when someone is likable and people kind of tend to listen or follow it, then other people have to find fault in it.
I think this is one of the fundamental problems in flat Earth. Is it keeps eating itself. It finds, you know, it propels someone to its head, that in terms of their popularity, and as soon as they become popular, it tears them down and says,
right,
shouldn't be popular.
right.
You know?
Well, that's kind of why I've always stayed in this little weird position that I'm in, of just like, I'm in my little world, and I mean, I want to share that with people, I really do, because what I say, I totally believe in it. But at the same time, you know, there's other people out there that will sit there and talk about you, and like you're saying about getting paid to spread propaganda or whatever. I get paid nothing, but I've been accused of it. So I don't like to accuse other people of it. You know, is there people that get paid? I don't know, Jeremy. I have no freaking idea, you know?
I think Validation Boy summed it up really very well, actually, when he was on, I think he was it on Jeds? I think he was on Jeds, and he said, they were talking about me, and he said that he thinks that this gives me purpose on the internet, so to speak. And I thought that's probably a good assessment. You know, it gives me something to do. So
I mean, that's fair. That's fair words as well.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there that want to, like, for whatever reason they want to tear into other people. And I think Patricia has been a victim of that way too often. I mean, maybe
I think she's been treated terribly. I really do. Awful.
Yeah.
Awful, the things people have said to
it's
her.
been bad. And there was like two little items in there that kind of got me going. But normally I'm pretty mellow. I don't want to hammer on people, but I've got to know her, and she's a good person.
Right, I'm sure she is.
So it really bothers me, you know, because once you get to know somebody and you got someone else out there like banging on them, it really bothers you in your heart for that person, because she's speaking her truth. And as long as it's her truth, like this is my truth, and you're speaking your truth, then I've got respect for you. I really don't care what shape your world is, as long as you shape it beautiful. I don't know. I'm weird that way.
Gempanda is known, he doesn't really count when it comes to trolling, you know, because he's like the nicest glober that has ever lived on YouTube.
Well, I mean, I'm not always. I mean, some people wouldn't agree with that, but I just think, you know, for me, there are certain people who, you know, for want of a better word, I would target, if you like, and there are people I don't, and people like Patricia, as you know, you put it perfectly, Barbie. You know, she says her truth, and she's entitled to that, and that's fine. What the people I tend to, you know, if you like, you know, argue with or attempt to argue with, are the people who are sort of asserting an objective truth. You know, they're not saying this is what I believe. They're saying this is what I believe, and this is what you should believe, and what you believe is wrong if you don't believe what I believe. And you know, those are the people that I sort of tend to go for.
Yeah, and I've kind of mentioned that in videos in the past. You know, if you want to make claims about what you think is happening or whatever, then tell people, this is what I think is happening. I don't know. I cannot prove it, but I feel like it could be. But once you start like force feeding people stuff, and like putting yourself above everyone else and saying this is how it is, and this is what you should think.
But I mean, Patricia kind of said it, and I think that what she said is true. I mean, she said that what she liked about Dell was sort of his, you know, his sort of manly assertiveness, you know, to sort of perhaps put words in the mouth a bit, but something along those lines. And I think that I think that what I see in Flat Earth is that those people who are prepared to be so assertive and really assert things positively, they tend to be the ones that become popular. And I think, Flat Earth kind of craves that. They want there to be authorities. And I think those authorities enjoy being authorities. They once they become one, they enjoy it. And so I think that, one kind of feeds the other.
Yeah, we're talking about personality types, alpha personalities and stuff. And all three of us are, and so's Dell, so's Patricia, so's Nathan Oakley, down the list. Any of the top names that people know who you are, you're an alpha personality. And you put yourself out there, and it does take guts,
Right. But I think Validation Boy, you're perhaps similar to Patricia. I kind of see you similar in that, sometimes at least you just say you believe because you believe, and that's it. You're just, you're dogmatic, and that's fine. I haven't got any problem with that whatsoever. Because there's nothing convincing about that. It's convincing enough for you, and that, who cares? Everyone believes some mad shit. Everyone. True though, isn't it? It's true. I'm trying to think of something stupid that I believe, but there'll be something that.
Oh, come on, Jeremy! I know you can think of one.
Yeah, I can. I still, that thing, with birds: 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy. Do you know that?
Yes.
When you see magpies or whatever, I actually do that in my head. It's just in my head, and I see 2 magpies and I think, oh.
If I were being honest.
Or I see one and I look for another one, so there's no sorrow in my life.
Well, I think that if I were going to be fair and honest, which is something I always like to do, so many times I say absolutely nothing because honesty makes me look bad, but it takes a certain person to even think outside of the proverbial box, so to speak. And I've listened to Tim so many times say, where these people who think that there's conspiracies, etc., they let their minds run away with them. I don't feel like I do that, even though I know you probably feel like I do that. But it does take a certain person to entertain these thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's true, yeah.
And I don't find that a bad thing. I actually, in my mind, I look at it as a good thing. Because if we're to walk around and believe that everything we've been told is truth, then we really need a good smacking. I mean, and I'm going to stick to that till the end. It's just.
Yeah, and I think there are points between those 2 extremes that you've described, but you're always going to have the extremes, aren't you? Whatever you have, there are always going to be people who, I mean, even within Flat Earth, for instance, there are people like Pete Shea, who says they dismantled the Twin Towers, you know what I mean? Then there are other people who say, well, there were no planes, and there are different, some views could be described as more extreme than others,
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a hard time like putting into words, because when I speak to you, Jeremy, I like you, I respect you, and we don't agree.
Right.
But I find that okay.
Yeah.
I don't find that like, oh, wow, he's like this enemy. And no, I really don't look at it that way. And I don't look at myself as being this freaking radical either, Although sometimes about certain things, I have to say, the rebel in me comes out. But
Right.
it's just the way I'm built. And I think that it's probably just the way a lot of people are built. I could be wrong.
I think this. Sorry. Go ahead, VB.
I was just going to say quickly, she's a Southern woman, and Southern women are just a lot stronger than most women.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it is, with this, 7 billion people on the planet, or at least I think there is, and I think you could find ways to disagree with each and every one of them, but you can also find ways to agree with them. So it's really which route you decide to take a lot of the time, I think, isn't it? But then sometimes, within YouTube at least, there are forums, or at least there are times when it's appropriate to take people on and tell them that you disagree with them, and sometimes people want that, but not very much these days, I find.
That's what I appreciate about your channel, Jeremy. I mean, no questions asked. You shoot me a link whenever you go live. That's amazing.
Right. Because I'd rather have the conversation. I'd rather get some people in there and get the conversation going, and bat the ideas around a bit. And what I found is when the sort of people that have turned up and engaged in the conversation are really quite capable of disagreeing with each other, and then living to fight another day, and still being sort of basically friends again the next day. Not always. Sometimes it takes us a few days to recover, but it's worked quite well. I mean, I don't do it that often. I'm kind of a bit irregular with it, and I should probably be a bit more regular,
Oh man, you're a gentleman, Jeremy. Are you kidding me? You're a good guy. I mean, but this whole idea that people think that they're going to walk through this world and through this existence and agree on everything, it's just silly. It's nonsensical. It's not going to happen. And you don't have to agree, but you can respect people for what they believe or what they think, even if it seems really, really silly. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it.
So, Barbie,
sir.
It's great to have you on here. First time you've appeared on here. Thank you very much. So just for my listeners' sake, and anyone who might, I don't know how, but they might not know who your channel is, and they only see me and your first time on here and stuff, would you like to state your stance on flat Earth? You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'd just like to hear it. My listeners might want to hear it too. Your exact stance or whatever.
What I'm thinking is going on or whatever. My senses tell me that what I perceive by my senses is flat. I can't prove that. I don't know that for fact. I'm not sure anyone knows. This is my thing about it. I'm not sure it's this big lie or cover up. It could just be no one really knows the shape of the world. I think there's a whole lot more going on than we are aware of. Wow, I could go really deep into it. I don't want to.
No problem. You don't have to. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's okay.
But I think the most important thing is for people to shape their world beautiful. And that's difficult. I'm seeing that more and more, so I have to take like breaks from even making videos.
Yeah. Have you happened to come across my videos where I take the quote flat earth dogmatist stance, and I say that yeah, and okay, and how I say like where we are, what we see physically in person is always a flat plane, and then I also say that you can't use the sky because the sky is not connected to the ground, so you can't use the sky as evidence either way and stuff. I don't know, how do you feel about that?
I agree with you on the dogmatist part, because I'm sure that's me, you know. However, I'm not convinced that we can't use the sky. I'm just not certain how it can be used. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the moon, I hear people saying, oh, it's a hologram, it's this, it's that. As far as I'm concerned, it's a three-dimensional object. But what it is beyond that, I don't know. The stars.
In your mind, what takes the moon from being two-dimensional to being three-dimensional? Just curious.
My telescope, looking at it.
Okay.
I can see over 50% of it, which tells me that it's three-dimensional.
Okay.
So for me, it's just common sense and honesty. You know, if anyone asked me, I'd have to be honest and say, yes, you know, my gut feeling is it is a three-dimensional object. How it got there, what it's doing there, I don't know.
How do you feel about how far away it might be?
Oh, well, I think it's a lot closer. I don't buy the 238,000 mile story at all. But again, you know, I can't say in miles, well, it's 3,000 miles, it's this, it's that. I don't know. I mean, in honesty, I don't know, but I do think it's closer. I do think that there is a harmony between the sun and the moon. It's like this beautiful dance. But other than that, I'm not sure.
So
I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I say what I think all the time, but I'm just not really sure about the moon. You know, as far as I know, the sun and the moon, they could be spaceships. They could be remote control. You know, there could be alien remote control them or something crazy like that. Who really knows? You know, but I mean,
yeah,
I'd like to hear Jem's input on what we were just talking about. You there, Jeremy?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a 3D object, really, for the reasons that Barbie said. I think that because the moon's orbit and the moon's rotation don't match exactly. Like one takes is it 29 days, and the other takes 27 or something like that. So there's a slight difference. That means that we see a little bit more than half of the moon. So we see, as Barbie said, 59% of it. So, you know, that tells us it definitely isn't a flat disk. And then I think just by observing it, it doesn't appear to be a flat disk. If you look at it through a telescope, you can see the way the craters appear to flatten on the edges, as you would expect if you were looking at it in perspective. And you know, you can see mountains and valleys and you know, a rocky terrain. So I think, you know, the reasonable assumption is that it is that. So
one of the main things I've always been confused about with the moon is how we can see such clarity in it. If it's something that's supposed to be that far away, we can seem to capture such intense clarity, clear vision of it. You know, it's been photographed.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really in that distance, you know, that 238,000 miles. All there is the bit of atmosphere between, you know, that you're looking through. So what would that be? You know, I don't know, 70,000 feet, 100,000 feet of atmosphere, and then nothing. So you know, I guess that's why it's pretty clear.
Okay, let's go back to Barbie now. So Barbie, as far as putting all the pieces of everything you've ever learned when it comes to conspiracy, the whole arena, putting it all together, you know, the NASA faking space, you name it, down the list, 9/11, everything you've ever discovered or been fortunate enough to hear about or thought of on your own, all of it together. Would you say that all that stuff together really gives you a strong ground to say that you believe the Earth is flat? A strong foundation?
No, to be fair, I separate those things from this thing, if that makes sense to anybody.
Why so? Why do you do that?
I'm of the mind that I think they need to be separated. Although I understand that many of these things walk hand in hand. When you're talking about the shape of your world, you really have to put that in one box and observe it in singularity rather than with all these other things going on.
So you don't think
sometimes they cross over. Don't get me wrong. You know, sometimes one thing will filter into another for me, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's why they do it. You know, but I'm not of the mind that we're being lied to. I want to say that again. I'm kind of in this place where I think nobody really knows the full truth. And when you don't know the full truth, it's kind of like going to the doctor and there's something wrong with you. The doctor doesn't know exactly what it is. He's not going to tell you, I don't know what's wrong with you. He's going to say, well, this is what I think it is, and have you go away. And that might be what's happening here with our world.
Okay, so you're saying maybe the governments, the people in the positions of power are just doing it out of benevolence?
Yes, something like that. I'm not justifying behaviors here. What I'm saying is I'm not sure they know the truth. Or what if the truth is so freaking weird and scary that they don't think people could handle it? I mean, I look at all the angles of this, and that's why I say I have to put that in a separate box, away from like 9/11 and Sandy Hook, and why do they fluoridate water, and why did they use propaganda to freaking control the masses, you know? And these are all things we know happens.
Okay.
It doesn't take a genius to figure that stuff out. But the shape of your world is just, it's more delicate, and I think it needs to be treated that way. I don't know. That's me.
Okay. Well, Jeremy, what do you say to that? You know, the idea that maybe the real truth of what's happening, there are people that know, and they're hiding it from us to protect us. You think that's a possibility?
Yes, it is a possibility. I mean, it's not one I really entertain, but it is a possibility, yeah. I think it's interesting what you were sort of saying, though. I think that, well, actually, until recently, I hadn't met a single flat earther that wasn't sort of already a conspiracy theorist, if you like, before flat Earth. But I have to admit, I have now met one who says that they weren't, and I think that's true. But I do think that stuff, you know, it does sort of lead you to, well, it seems to be the case in almost every case that you don't get to flat Earth unless you've been through all that stuff.
That's fair. But I mean, I've talked to people.
Sorry, you're dropping out a bit there, mate.
I can't hear him either. Oh, we can now.
Oh, yeah, we got you now.
A bit of a shaky connection there for a moment, but yeah, there's like a guy at my job that he's heard all about flat Earth, and he didn't even know anything about Sandy Hook or 9/11 or even JFK or anything. You know? So they're the young generation that's under 20 or in their early 20s, that this is definitely hitting them in social media.
Right. Oh, it is. Yeah, that's true. My daughter said that she couldn't. She said, every time I go on Facebook with some flat Earth thing, Dad.
But it's not like look, if you walk through this life and never question anything, and I know this is going to be really, really difficult, for even you to answer, Jeremy. What kind of person would you be? Oh my gosh, my dogs are going. Please ignore. Anyway, you know, what if you ate everything that was fed to you, swallowed it and said, yummy, that's so good.
Right.
What kind of drone does that make you? Again, going back to what I said earlier, it certainly takes different personalities. But if I were being honest,
sorry, go on.
If I were being totally honest, and you and I have spoke about this, probably the shape of my world was the first thing I ever looked into. Because that seed was planted in my head when I was 6 years old. And so that's kind of the opposite maybe of like lots of other folks, but I grew up questioning my world. And my mom says all the time, do you ever turn it off? And I'm like, no, I just cannot do it. Because I want to know why and who and what and where, and, you know, and I've always been that way. So,
what are your
but it's
hopes?
healthy.
Well, yeah.
It's healthy to question stuff, guys. You got to question your world. You have to.
Definitely.
Well, you don't.
I think that's true, but I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go. Please go.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's true, but I think that also, I think what I see, the fundamental problem with the with the flat earth idea is really this philosophy that lies at the heart of it, which is the idea that personal experience is superior to everything else. And I just don't buy that. And I think there's a big problem with it, because I think if we don't accept some people as authorities on certain subjects, and if we don't allow ourselves, if we distrust everyone and we don't allow ourselves to pass knowledge between generations, I think that's a very, very bad thing for humanity. So I think that we have to be prepared to do that. We have to accept that some people have spent time, more time than us studying something or being involved in something, and that makes them a better judge of what's going on in that field than we are.
Okay, so that's kind of like a collectivist versus an individualist state of mind, right? Would you agree? I mean, because you're saying collectively, someone else out there has done this, I'm going to accept it, and that we should accept it. I mean, that's kind of what you say, right?
Well, yes. I mean, I think you can have sets of rules, your individual set of rules on what you're prepared to accept and what you aren't. But I think you can also look at those rules objectively and consider how reasonable you're being. Did that make sense?
It makes sense.
Borderline gibberish there.
No, you always make sense, Jeremy, but here's the problem I have with it all. These things, these ideas, these theories that have been set in place have been there for a while. And then when they're questioned now by a group of people that are saying, look, I'm not sure that that's what I think my world is, it becomes a problem. These things should never become a problem. Science should always say, okay, well, let me prove it to you again and again. And they're not doing that.
Well,
they're allowing NASA to do it, Jeremy. And I like you, but dude, NASA is it's like, seriously, is this all we're going to get?
Well, I think that, I think that we can certainly question science, but I think the problem is in flat earth, what it does a lot of the time is it just rejects science. It'll ask the question, but it rejects the answer. and often without good reason. So I think, you know, it's at what point you accept the answer, or what criteria do you use to reject the answer, and are those criteria reasonable?
And we kind of talked about this too, where you said, what would it take for me to like, if I accepted it, and if I accepted it, then what would I do next? Because I'm not saying I reject science. I'm saying that science should be repeatable over and over and over and over again. And the same results come from it every time. And that's not what we're seeing. I'm not saying I'm rejecting it. I'm saying that I'm questioning the time in which these theories were put in place. I don't know if it's true, if it's not true. But if you want to convince me if it's true, then prove it, do it again. And then 20 years from now, do it again. And 20 years from now, do it again.
But I think that happens within science. I mean, because I think that, you know, people often sort of mischaracterize it in this way. And I don't think it certainly doesn't all come from NASA, you know, with a sort of a final sign off from Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know, that isn't how scientific knowledge becomes scientific knowledge. It's a really long, slow, drawn out process of, you know, people chipping away at ideas, you know, by experimentation, you know, often that take a long time, and they have to do them many, many times. And each time this is done, you know, it adds to the collective knowledge. And then, you know, somebody might come along some years later and use that previous piece of research and add it to their piece of research. And from this, you know, draw a more detailed conclusion on a particular aspect of it. So, you know, and over time, you know, these little bits of knowledge grow into greater bits of knowledge. And I think that's, you know, that's really how it works. And I don't think it is set in stone in the way that people suggest. And often, I often find when arguing this sort of thing that people will often assert that it's set in stone and it's dogmatic and all these sort of things. And they'll at the same time, well, in the same conversation, they'll tell me about how, oh, the speed of light's changed 3 times and the distance to the sun has been updated, you know, every 200 years. And, you know, this shows that science does question itself and update itself. And it is a good question.
Okay, let me ask you something, Jeremy, because if you answer this for me, then I will definitely believe your answer.
Okay.
I take serious issue with Elon Musk. I've made multiple videos about this guy. I think he is the next. Oh, I don't want to say because I like you so much. But here's the thing. Elon Musk. Because I know you're going to have a great answer for me, and I'm going to dig it right out of you. Elon Musk says that the chances that we are not living in some type of a simulated matrixical world is so slim, it's not even funny. So what say you? Because this is the guy that's going to take you to the moon, swing you around the moon, bring you back to Earth. He's not going himself. He's also going to take folks to Mars. And this guy is supposed to be a genius.
Well, believe it or not, I think you can make a reasoned argument for simulation theory.
Okay.
And this is how I see it. There's a university down the road from me that does studies into crowd dynamics. So what they'll do is they'll build a computer model of, say, a football stadium. and they'll fill it with a virtual crowd, and then they'll create a fire, say, in the corner of the football stadium, and the crowd is represented actually by little blue dots. Each little blue dot is one person, and each little blue dot has been programmed to behave like a human being in certain ways. And then they look at how the crowd behave when a fire breaks out or something like that. And from this, they're able to determine things like, where bottleneck situations might occur, and they can make a safer football stadium. So this is one form of simulating human behavior. And as technological societies like ours become more technological, then these simulations can become more sophisticated.
So
we use
I gotta ask you before you get too far, are you saying that what he's doing is making an assessment and based on behavior?
Well,
although when he puts it out there,
let me finish the point. So if I mean, that's one form of simulating human behavior in order to determine how humans will behave. And another way might be just to do to take a census, which most developed countries do, and from that you can determine things like future healthcare needs or something like that. So as a technological society advances, then you need more and more technological models, simulations, to determine these outcomes. And any society that is technologically advanced would do that, because it's beneficial to the society to make predictions about what will happen in the future, so that you can make good things happen and plan for bad things. And so it stands to reason that any advanced civilization would do this. And if that's the case, a very advanced civilization would have a very advanced simulation, and we could be that.
Okay, so I kind of thought that might be where you would head with the answer. So my response to that is this. Now, if I were a totally oblivious person watching him speak and saying the words he says, then I would say, oh my God, this guy thinks we're on this made up plane. We're like in this whole simulation. And when actually what he is doing is making an assessment. So with that being said, can you kind of understand why so many people, like in flat earth or whatever, listen to the stuff being said and maybe pull some facts out of there that aren't totally right?
Well, I think all Elon Musk is doing is it's just a new take on a very, very old philosophical problem that is what they call the problem of hard solipsism, which is essentially you cannot determine anything more than the fact that you exist. Everything else, you have to start making assumptions, and we all do it. We do it automatically. We assume
hard solipsism.
Sorry, BB, go on.
Hard solipsism is not to be confused with nihilism. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't you all you know is that you exist. Beyond that, you don't know anything. You have to start assuming things. You have to assume the laws of logic, and you have to assume that there is an objective reality. You have to assume that there are other intelligent beings within that reality. But none of these things are you are actually able to prove in any way. We just presuppose that they're what we're called axiomatic.
You must assume a creator as well.
All right. I mean,
Well, some people argue that that's axiomatic. I would argue against that, but some people say that you have to presuppose a creator. It's a popular Christian argument, that the presuppositional argument they call it. Sorry, Barbi, go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you, dude, because I mean, I know what you're saying is correct, but what I'm trying to say is when we place people like Elon Musk on a pedestal, and when you listen to him talk about this stuff, it doesn't sound like an assumption.
We don't place them, but we're not the ones placing them. See?
No, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But keep in mind, Kim Kardashian, she's not really famous. Nobody gives two shits about Kim Kardashian. Nobody looks at the stories. It's just that when you see a story about her, it's them lying, saying that 50 quadrillion followers have seen this and there's an outrage and 20 million tweets have been sent. No, they haven't. You know?
But this is kind of the point I'm making, though, is how someone like him is placed in this manner. And he makes this statement, okay, well, the chances of you being this flesh and blood person are so slim that you could pick a booger out of George Washington's nose. I mean, you know, and then you have these other people that come along and say, oh my God, now you're taking this stuff literally and you think that we're simulated. But this is what we're being fed. It's this confusing reach around.
Well,
and I see.
I mean, he's entitled to his opinion, isn't he? And I think that.
He is.
But I mean, like I said, I just don't think he's not really describing anything new. It's kind of like it's a it's a new take on it for the internet age. But it's essentially this age-old problem that you know that. Is I think, therefore I am, but you can't go any further than that. What it's a really difficult problem for philosophers, and he can I don't really see that it's meaningless ultimately. I mean, I think if you had a conversation with him about it, you'd see that it just doesn't mean anything, because if that's true, you by definition you cannot know it to be true anyway. So that's why I don't go with these ideas of hard solipsism, because I think they're useless. They're just not a useful philosophy to hold. And when you're sort of this deep into it, you can choose which axioms you adopt. Everyone just picks which ones they want. Like VB said, he goes for a creator. Well, I don't go with that one, but you can pick which ones you want. So why pick a crap one? That's how I feel.
I feel you there. I mean, if I were to give my opinion on this whole simulation stuff and I think it's ridiculous. I really, really do. And as far as a creator, I don't know what to call that. I'm not sure. And so I've been accused before of offending Christians, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm not sure that a creator would require you to do all of these things that we've been told. Although I do feel like there was creation somewhere.
But really, that's all he's describing. I mean, that is what he is proposing. That if we are a simulation, then there has to be a creator of the simulation. So it is really just a sort of a cyber age god, really, that he's putting forward in a way.
Yeah, yes, and you're so correct on that. And you and me and 50 other people might pull that out of what he's saying. But what about the other people that are like, wait a minute, he's talking about the movie The Matrix, and maybe I should take the red pill or the blue pill. I'm really not sure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Just,
But I think that problem already exists. I mean, I guess he is highlighting it in a way, but I just don't think it's a problem that's always been there. You know, it's like the oldest problem in philosophy, really.
yeah, I think it has always been there. I just think he is the new well to pump it. That's my opinion. You know, we have different people that are put out there for different purposes, and Elon Musk is the new pumper of the red pill, the blue pill.
I think that we all ponder these sort of issues. It's a bit like sort of, you know, they kind of went like when you come back from a club and you've done some ecstasy and had a few drinks and you sat there with your mates and, you know, you start talking about it. How do we know that your green is my green?
Well, at first you already fucked up because you went to the club with your mates and got wasted on ecstasy and there's no girls in the picture. Okay.
Right. Yeah. That is bad. Yeah.
I've never done ecstasy, guys. I'm ecstasy.
That's pretty much the story of my nightclubbing career, baby. It's coming home with my mates instead of a woman.
But I'm just trying to, like, the point I'm trying to make in this totally roundabout fashion is that information is put out there for people to absorb. And sometimes I understand why people pull the wrong things out of it. I totally get it. And I'm almost like, yeah, it's purposeful. I mean, you know, give some clarity. Say what you mean what you say, and don't say mean things. That's what I was taught.
So,
but
moving forward from this and tying into this, what would you say? Like, would you say, you know, people who experienced their teen years at some point during the last 20, 30 years, like we did, are better off than the people who are just being born now? Are they going to have better lives? Or are they going to have worse lives? I mean, when you really boil everything down, who's going to have a better life, us or them?
Us, for sure. I got a 17-year-old son, guys. He just turned 17. He is this beautiful little creature, you know. But the way things are put out there for him to understand, it's like, oh my God. I mean, I moved back from it, and I'm amazed. I wonder, you know, how he is going to process things, how he is going to, how can you understand your world and your life when you don't understand the past fully? I think we have it made. I think people like Jeremy, myself, BB, we got it made, you know, because we're in this position where we're like 50-50. But our kids, it's not so simple.
I guess maybe you could say every generation is going to be 50-50 of something, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm noticing with like his generation, it's more of this, he's got a fight in him. And in other words, if you question him on what he has been told is going on, then he's ready to fight, where I was never that way. I mean, I'm ready to look at it, observe it, you know, make an ass of myself if I must, but I'm not going to fight you over it. These kids are ready to fight. You know, they're ready to kick ass over it. And so it's a different type of programming going on for sure.
I wonder if it isn't, if you know, I got a meme on my Facebook, and it said, I'm so glad I had my childhood before all the technology took over. And I thought, you know, that's so true. And then I looked at it, who sent it, and it was from my 19-year-old daughter. So, you know, we both see it in the same way, even though we're a generation apart. That, you know, I see that technology took over for them, and they are now seeing technology taking over for younger people than them today, you know. And you know, it's all about your sort of perspective. I think there's good and there's bad in it. You know, we live in this sort of information age. There's all this information out there. Knowledge is really, really accessible, much more accessible than it was when I was young. But at the same time, you know, alongside that knowledge is a whole load of crap. You know, vastly more crap than there is knowledge, actually. And that is what they have to contend with, isn't it? They've got to be able to find their way through the crap. And whether it be you know, mainstream crap or, you know, conspiracy theorist crap, you know.
They're not being given the same stuff as I was given. I mean, I know that for a fact. You know, I know
social
what
skills wise. You mean like social skills that were taught?
All of it, social skills, education wise, what they're being taught in school, how they're being taught these things in school. And I don't want to really dive into that because I will sound really, really bad if I do. But when it comes to certain touchy issues in school, they're glazing over it like they're making a cake, and the glazing has got to go on so smooth. And let's not allow them to understand the real meaning of what happened during slavery, during the Holocaust. I'm sorry, guys. That's as far as I'll go with it. But yeah, you know, let's make it look all nice and pretty, tied in a big bow, and send it off to your hearts. And so socially, that affects the child. The child grows into this freaking drone zombie that walks around with no real opinion either way. In other words, this is what I've been told. This is where I'm going with it. I won't form my own opinion. I find it dangerous. I really, really do. That's me, but that's not the way I learned it in school.
Yeah, definitely. Well, here's another thing. You know, what 10, 15 years ago when I started really, like, maybe 10 years ago when I started really understanding, you know, the left-right illusion and all the paradigms that we're stuck in and all the illusions that were presented, especially politically and stuff. It made me think back to when I was in high school and all that, and I would think about, you know, oh, I remember this teacher, the way she presented this whole thing was very like left-wing, and then you know, or this other math teacher, that guy was a screaming conservative, you know, and he like let his students know by his little comments about life and little stories he would tell, you know. And then there was others that were very fair and they would show both sides. Thing is, and for this upcoming generation, there's not going to be people like that for them.
Nope.
Because everyone has been pigeonholed with the intensely increasing pressure of the statism and the left-right paradigm that gets pushed down these people's throats. I just wanted to throw that in there. Keep going, guys. Sorry.
No, you're right. You're so right. And you know, when we understand from ages 1 to 3, these are what we call the formidable years of a young mind. And what these kids are watching, these freaking cartoons? Are you serious? And then they continue on to kindergarten. They're being hit with certain colors, certain shapes. And I'm not a freak about it. But what I'm saying is I think that there are some things that they want children to recognize so that later when it's brought into their mind, it means more. Then they get in school and they're being told half-truths. And that is a fact.
Oh, yeah.
That's not me sitting here saying, oh, I think this is what is happening. That is me sitting here saying, I know that is what is happening. Because I have 2 children who are way years apart. I have one that's in her late 20s and one that's 17. And I'm here to tell you, even in that gap, she tells me, oh my gosh, Mom, Preston's not learning it the way I learned it.
Yeah.
What he's saying is not the same as what I was told. What's going on? You know, my daughter's very awake. And she's obsessed. What's the word I want to use? She allows questions to come into her heart, where my son is like, oh my gosh, my mom's a nut, and I'm ready to kill her. And that's what they're being taught.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm pushing 40, and my sister is several years older than me, not quite 10, but several years older than me. And, you know, even in her times and in my time, that book 1984 was mandatory reading in middle school. We're talking 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So.
Yeah, now they're banning these books.
Yeah. So
they're freaking fussing about certain books that these kids should be reading in school. There'll be a book burning soon, dude. I think the last hangout I was in, I was talking about this.
Yeah.
Where I saw like a couple flat earthers almost supporting it.
Burn,
you know, this whole, just the, you know, information. When I say book burning, I'm referring to history. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough, you know. When it comes down to research, it's like I was talking about my last live stream I did solo. Like when it comes down to research, you start talking about history and you start talking about sources and primary sources, and you know, you get down to this one little thing and some detail in some deep dark library, some bibliography of some supposedly ancient book. It just makes you take a step back and realize, well, geez, you know, can I even trust this? Can I trust any of this research I'm doing? Which, when you think about that, and I like to get Jeremy's opinion on this too. It kind of almost supports this whole simulation theory that we are living in some kind of experiment, some kind of regulated, controlled environment. And maybe we do have free will within that, but we're playing a game that's by a certain set of parameters. What do you guys have to say about that?
Predeterminism.
Well, I think again, it's just one of those. It's one of those things that could be true, but it seems to me like you have a choice to believe it or not, and it just doesn't seem that useful to, you know, to go with that idea. You know, it's just
to deny the credibility of any research source.
I mean, I guess the sort of logical conclusion I've heard it called last Thursdayism. You know, the idea that reality as we know it could have been created last Thursday. You know, with memories intact, and you know, old rocks, and you know, very old trees, and all the stuff that makes up our world that tells us it's older, but it could have only been here a few days, and this. It's kind of the same problem as before. You know, you don't really have any way of determining whether that's true or not, but there doesn't really seem to be any positive reason to believe it. So, it's not useful to believe it. So,
it seems affirmable, if not positive, at least affirmable. Like it's like, I don't even know if that's a word, what I'm saying there, honestly. But it can the fact that we are complex enough to imagine such a thing.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I cannot deny that there is a possibility that is true, but I prefer to go with the idea that history probably is. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it is a difficult question because I can't just say, well, it's as it's written in the books, because even the books don't agree, and you know, history, as we know, is written by the victor anyway. I mean, that's certainly true. So, you know, what if you were to learn, say, world history in America, it would be different to it is from the British perspective, and that would be different to the Russian and the Chinese perspective. You know.
I mean, I think the more logical conclusion is for people to research and understand revisionism. And that was kind of what 1984 was going at. This is the idea that certain people are privy to information. They go in, they change this information, and then in 2 generations of my lifetime, the past is kindly forgotten, or it's distorted enough where there's no surety. Let's not get wacky about it, guys. Let's just look at it as revisionism, historical revisionism. I want to go in and I want to write the story about JFK the way I want you to see it. I'm going to do this now, and 200 years from now, this is the way you will see it.
See, that's the gray area, That's that gray area, because the government is the ones giving the corporations the money and the power and the platform to shape minds of the future. And that's why everything is suspect, because is it, we're being attacked by, we don't know, is it our government? Is it private entities? Is it private corporations? Is it the government and those private corporations together? Is it a one world government? Is it a Hydra head of all these different Hydra with multiple heads?
Well, it's so hard to know. It's so hard to say we have a source for what causes this. But let's just put it in this easy to understand thing of saying greed and power and knowledge. Because if I'm smarter than you and I understand more than you always, then I'm always going to be 2 steps ahead of you. Who does it?
In your experience, are human beings that good at organizing things?
Yes,
usually
I do.
We're not that great,
I do think so. I honestly, deep in my bones, I believe that there are people out there that have this understanding and this ability to control through knowledge that is so perfected that I almost want to get on my hands and knees and say, yes, let me have a piece of it so I can do it too. So much so that people are like in awe and they just believe everything. And no, it don't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way. I don't know. I like you, Jeremy, so don't get mad at me, but
it's all right. I'm not in the mood for a fight.
You wouldn't fight with me anyways, I don't think.
Of course I wouldn't.
We're talking about things that are on very, very high levels. At this point, we're all wide open and vulnerable, so we can't really attack each other or anything like that.
Sure, that's right. That's true, yeah.
That's the place I like to get to,
Right.
I try to, at least.
I mean, but I'm of the mind that that's what's going on. And there's this confusion in people, because I can talk to someone and recall a story and his story, and they're telling me totally different. And it's like, dude, this is not the Mandela effect, which is, by the way, in my opinion, a test drive of historical revisionism on a large scale, on a humongous scale. It's people reading different texts, saying different things.
This always seems to be a bit of a USA issue, though, I think, to an extent, because you have this sort of, sort of low-level political control of the school boards, and then these school boards are deciding what should be in textbooks, and so what is in the textbook becomes some sort of, like a low-level political issue, and that doesn't really happen here in the same way,
It will.
It's also funny that people get upset in America about what goes in the textbook. It's kind of an insult to the intelligence of the average American. It's kind of suggests the idea that, well, if that's what they learn in school, that's what they're going to fucking be for the rest of their life. So that they're going to fight over what they're taught in school. When in reality, anyone, if they want to consider themselves fucking intelligent, should be researching as much as they want or as much as they need to research on something.
Sure. And ultimately, I guess if someone learns evolution in school and you know, they don't turn out to be a biologist, then even if evolution isn't true, and I wholeheartedly believe it is, but even if it wasn't, it doesn't really matter because that person isn't involved in that field in any way anyway, you know, so.
It's just weird, like, place that we've come to where even able to say this Mandela crap. I mean, just so everyone knows, I think that is total shite.
Me too.
It's so fucking silly. Excuse my language, guys. It's kind of like the video VB made on Kaczynski and this whole Unabomber stuff. And I think that was a test drive for future things. It was like this reaction thing. How are people going to react to this? And it became bigger and bigger. And this is how we're like sitting here with this Mandela effect stuff.
Well, the stuff with Kaczynski was weird because he was if he's real, which I don't think he was real. I think he's a government manufactured thing, exactly like you're saying. But the thing is, he was putting out stuff that was rather truthful. He was explaining to people how we live in this hierarchy and all this fucked up, but all this stuff that happens and the way things operate. He was kind of revealing a lot of that. But then on the other side of the coin, people always say, well, yeah, they're easing you into it. You know, they're desensitizing you.
Exactly. I mean, read his manifesto. You almost want to stand behind the guy and go, yes, let me get some pom-poms.
Yeah.
But it's like a preparation for a set reaction to something in the future. I know that sounds absolutely batshite, but
they do these things to weed people like myself out, or like us out. People that will have an opinion, people that will go and write a book about what they think about the Ted Kaczynski and stuff. They want to know who's actually out there thinking. They want to know, because thought is very powerful. It's a force, and it happens in the human mind, and it can have great implications and great effects on the world, you know, just thoughts. And they want to know what's going on out there. So they're kind of like laying traps, I think sometimes. They want to see how people are going to react. They want to see when they faked the Boston Marathon bombing. They wanted to see what Joe Blow on YouTube said about it, because the guy's actually really smart, and maybe we can pay him to be on our team, kind of a thing.
I mean, I'm with you there. My emotions are kind of crossed on the 9/11 thing. I've heard lots of people say, oh, no one died, blah, blah, blah. I'm not down with that. I think we need to question motives and all that stuff, but it's like little tests, you know, little grenades. How far are you going to throw it? What's going to happen when it explodes?
And if that's happening, that is showing that we're living in a Sims universe, kind of, in a way, right? Everything that the people out there believe is being fed to them through this means of intelligence information gathering that we have, the rights that we have as individuals. You know, we have the right to have our phone, and we have the right to go to CNN or whatever the hell, you know.
I mean,
it's all just put there for us, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just hard for me to accept this simulation thing. Because
I'm not necessarily promoting the simulation theory. I'm just looking at it right now because
I think people are freaking amazing. I think people have a power that they probably don't fully grasp. So yeah, I don't buy the simulation thing. I just think we're amazing, and we can do stuff that. Woohoo!
Yeah, let's get Jem's take on it. I mean,
well, I mean, on Mandela, the problem I have with the Mandela effect is that I was never at any point confused about when Nelson Mandela died, or the fact that he hadn't died. So it's kind of it gets off to a bad start with me anyway. So, and then of course we don't know anything here about Berenstain Bears. What else is there? Oh, Luke, I am your father, isn't it? It's that one.
That's a movie, man. I mean, that's like they could have done multiple takes. I mean,
Yeah, and
yeah.
there's mirror, mirror on the wall, isn't there? That's another one. But I think some of these things they get misquoted in someone misquotes it somewhere, and that misquote for whatever reason becomes popular, and that becomes adopted. I think a famous one I think is Play It Again, Sam. I don't know if you know that. That's from Casablanca. Humphrey Bogart is said to have said it in, a lot of people say he says, "Play it again, Sam," but he doesn't actually say that. He says, "Play it, Sam." But it's just one of those things that got misquoted, and then people just remembered the misquote, and kept misquoting the misquote.
That happens.
So I think that happens a lot with these things. Memory is a very tricky thing. You can insert something into it, and it will. Your memory can be easily tricked into thinking something it's recently learned is attached to something it learned in the past. If the right associations are made at the right time. Sorry, go ahead.
So further down that rabbit hole, what do you think about CERN?
CERN. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think it's something we kind of had to build, really. And they tell us it's producing results, but I don't think there's really anything definitive yet. And we have spent an awful lot of money, and it has taken a terribly long time. So I'm not really sure. I'd have to update myself, to be honest, and see where it is at the moment. But I don't think there's been anything. I don't know. There's been a couple of times where they announced things, and then things haven't turned out to be quite right. But I think the last one they did, I think that was verified. I think they did that through 2 sensors, independent sensors, and detected something. So I'm not that well up on it, but I don't think it's like a Stargate or anything like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because for me, just real quick, sorry, Barbie. For me, CERN exists on the back of an idea that is still essentially something that's drawn on paper. That's theoretical physics. And logically, I got to be honest, if you think about matter and existence, material world, we do have to be comprised of particles. How small those particles can be, infinitely small, I guess, logically. You could always cut something in half again and again and again, forever and ever, sure, logically. But I mean, at the same time, we have electricity, which is constantly fluctuating, and I don't think can be kept in a state of constant, like it can't stay in one amount. You can't keep electricity in a jar, and
right.
It always, there's always atrophy or entropy. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So, it starts to get into this really gray area. If there's entropy, then what is a particle? And this CERN thing exists on the back of what's written on paper.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I don't really know enough about it, but I guess somebody somewhere was confident enough to convince quite a lot of other people to stick a lot of money in. I mean, it's funded by a number of different countries, so I guess financially the burden probably isn't that great for each country. And I know that it is actually underfunded, because I know, for instance, that 2 of the generators that they use, because they have to generate vast amounts of electricity, they can't just draw it off the grid. They have to have their own generators. And well, I mean, you can see these generators that they have there. And they were built in, I think, 1967 or something like that. It has its own power station. And, they really need to replace these generators so they can generate even more electricity. But they just don't have the funding to do it. So, believe it or not, they are on a tight budget, even though, obviously, it's cost billions and billions.
Do you want to jump in, Barbie?
Well, I'm baffled by the idea that people buy all this stuff. We're told that the atom was split at one time, that we've got atomic bombs, etc. Atom in Greek literally means not divisible. Yet we have these people at CERN telling you that they are going to collide this particle with this particle. No, I don't buy it. I just don't. But I'm a believer in ether and matter and densely packed matter. And I think this is what's going on. This is what interests me even more than is the plane flat. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're up to there.
You think it's all just?
But
for
I
show?
don't. No, I don't think it's all just for show. They could be making gold for the elites to sniff, for all I know. I know that sounds silly, but I don't.
I would
So
like.
do
to
I don't buy it.
That sounds like a good evening out.
I don't buy it. I don't buy what they're saying they're trying to do.
And then they throw in the whole thing about, oh, they send out this idea into the conspiracy community that what CERN's really doing is creating time holes. It's like in time and stuff, and it just further purports the the fact that everything that they do there is something that's been written on a piece of paper, that some scientist got drunk and stoned one night, in 1820 and wrote down on a piece of paper. And it sounds romantic.
Well, I think it's probably a little bit better supported than that. But I mean, it is ultimately, as you say, it is theoretical physics. But, I guess, I think if enough people are who are in the know, who are convinced by that argument, then it's at least worth pursuing what, what they recommend as a path of discovery. And, if they're wrong, well, then we'll find out that we need to follow a different path, and that will be progress.
Well, let me ask Barbi this.
Slower than we hoped.
Yeah. Let me ask Barbi first, and then you, Jeremy. What do you think the most dangerous weapon is that the powers that be use against us?
Knowledge.
Or the lack thereof?
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine a world full of zombies? Read the KV. Jeremy should be familiar with this and the maritime law and the canons. We are the zombies. People sit here and talk about how, they're going to drop nuclear bombs on us and we're going to take each other out. No. The nuclear bombs are going to take us out. That's not what's going to happen. Because history tells us that we do that just fine ourselves from being stupid. We're the zombies. Some people say sheep. I say zombies.
Well, in maritime law, we're literally considered dead cattle, dead property to be traded.
Right. I mean, that's basically where the word zombie comes from. I encourage people to read the KV. It'll blow your mind. But we're the freaking zombies. We're living under maritime law. Deny it or don't. It's cool with me. I mean, I know where we're at. But knowledge is power. And lack thereof is damnation.
Damn.
You can't build a stronger freaking weapon than ignorance. It's not freaking possible.
I guess you could see knowledge as a technology in a way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or the distribution or the withholding of the distribution of knowledge.
Oh,
It
yeah.
takes a lot to achieve that.
That's where I'm at with all this. We don't need a nuclear bomb, guys. All we need to do is cut off food and water to a community for about 3 days and watch them take each other out. And this has happened before. This is not something I'm making up. It's a fact. So be smart.
Yeah. Let's get Jeremy's take on that. Let's get Jeremy's take. What do you think is the worst technology that's used against this, bro?
Well, I mean, I think governments they're very, very skilled at manipulating the media and what the media presents to us. And I think that nowadays in the West, that's all governments do is figure out how to present whatever shit they're reacting to that they fucked up on, how to present it in some sort of favorable light that won't lose them any votes. And I think that can be a very, very dangerous weapon. And I think that is, that was demonstrated with with Iraq, where in this country this idea was presented of weapons of mass destruction, and it was bandied around in the news, and there was all this stuff about the 45-minute claim that Saddam Hussein could deploy these weapons in 45 minutes, and it was all bollocks. It was all complete bollocks, and ultimately we went to war because of that. Our country did, at least, and your country did as well, I think, to an extent. I mean, there's other factors for you guys, but for us, ultimately, that was the reason that we went, and that's all it took. And that's why I kind of don't buy into all this sort of hoax ideas and things like that, because they aren't necessary, and governments know that. All they need to do is make sure that there's a couple of sentences worded in a specific way in one document, and a country, a whole army is on its way to Iraq to kill people. And that is obviously, that's very dangerous. That the fact that they're able to do that, and we're used to this sort of soundbite politics. We're used to these things being presented to us in the way that they are, and we're not always, tuned in to what is actually happening. That the fact that what we're watching isn't that different from the commercials in between what we're watching.
Yeah. So in a roundabout way, you're both kind of saying the same thing. It comes down to information and the flow of information.
Yeah. I think we are saying pretty much the same thing.
I mean, so many people out there in this world are nothing like the three of us, or Patricia, who was in here earlier, nothing like the four of us, where we want knowledge. So we actively go and fucking seek knowledge. It's a very small portion of us. And that's why I was saying, that's what these hoaxes, if you want to call them, they're meant to sort us out. That's what I think, man. What do you say to that?
Well, like I say, I don't really buy any sort of hoax idea. I don't think, for me, I haven't seen anything compelling that suggests that these things are being staged. And as I say, I don't think there's they don't need to even go to those lengths. It's very easy to warp what's actually happening into what you want to be happening, rather than to actually make stuff happen yourself,
Yeah. Barbi, you there?
I am. I kindly disagree with Jeremy. I mean, false flag attacks are known to be used in war way, way back, psychologically affecting the enemy. And when you understand that you are the freaking zombie, which makes you the enemy, then you understand why these things happen. I'm not crazy on this. Again, 9/11, people died, people got hurt. But then I look at it this way. We're told that there are keyhole satellites. I'm just throwing this out there for everybody to think about. They can see the letters on my license plate. But we don't know what happened on 9/11. people wake the fuck up. Seriously.
I
So
don't
what
think
are we
that's
saying?
true about satellites, actually. I've heard that claim before, but I don't think that's really true.
No, I've looked it up, dude. And freaking the military claims they have these satellites. Now, if I'm to sit here and believe that satellites exist and that my military is telling me the truth, then why are they questioning one thing that happened that day? 1 second of it. It makes no sense. But what they don't expect is for people to put these things together. Sandy Hook. Come on, guys. Look at the whole day. Look at what happened there. Seriously. Does any emergency even go down like that? No, it doesn't. I've been involved in an emergency. I've been the victim. It doesn't happen like that.
The Pulse shooting.
Not everything isn't fake.
Yeah, the Pulse shooting. Okay, the event happened. Okay, dead of night in a dead part of town. They knew nobody would be around there. They did their thing. By the time anyone heard about it or showed up, it was cordoned off. It stays cordoned off to this day. Up until a couple months ago, they had a cop at every four corner around it, an armed cop, 24 hours a day, 365, armed cop, four corners around this building for many, many, many months after the event took place. So,
and stuff doesn't go down like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way. I'm not saying that people don't get killed. I'm not saying that tragedies don't happen. What I am saying is that the news, under law, has no legal obligation to tell you or show you the truth. They can show you a toothpaste commercial from 10 years ago and say it happened today, and they're all good.
Well, actually,
Propaganda.
the news is required to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Jeremy. Come on.
It is. I mean, you could argue that they wouldn't abide by that law, but that law does exist. You know, with the BBC, it's covered by the BBC Charter, and it you know, that governs how it behaves, and it has to behave in a certain way. So, it has to be objective in its reporting. Of course, it isn't, but it's supposed to be. And occasionally it's, people have lost their jobs over it in the past, quite recently. In fact, the guy at the head of the BBC is called the Director General. And they got rid of one because of some sort of reporting error where they hadn't reported. It was actually when the Jimmy Savile thing came out. And he had held off a program that reported on that. He held off letting that program go out, and he was fired for that. And then the guy that replaced him, he did. What did he do? He didn't allow some report that criticized this previous event that had gone on, and he lost his job as well. So they do try and govern how these things are done, but if you've got this sort of superior knowledge power in place, then obviously you could argue that they would manipulate that. But what I would ask you is, what events can you name that aren't false flags? What big news events, not like weather or earthquakes and stuff, but what man-made things can you think of recently that are real, you think?
Are you speaking to me, Jeremy?
Well, both of you, really.
Go ahead, Barbie.
I'm saying 9/11 was totally freaking real. Those freaking buildings went to the ground, turned to dust. There were freaking people in there that died. What I am saying is that the circumstances surrounding that event are fucking shady as the day is long. I mean, I'm an American. I'm from New York. I know people in New York. It did not happen the way they said, dude. Everyone knows this. I'm not naive enough to sit back here and say, no, it never happened. No one was in the buildings. There were actors jumping out of freaking windows a week before trying to do this whole photo shoot. No, I'm not that stupid. But money talks and bullshit walks. And that building freaking 7 came down with no problem. And why? I mean, are we going to just sit here and say this didn't happen in the United States of America? These guys' passports were preserved perfectly. Seriously.
Yeah, there's just way too many. There's so many things about that story that don't even make sense. You know, like the fact that planes couldn't even come close to those buildings without the Air Force being or NORAD or whatever being signaled out there. So I mean, it doesn't make any sense because you hear in the news before 9/11 and after 9/11, anytime anyone gets anywhere near the White House or Washington D.C. or this, that, and the other, the NORAD and the security forces are all over them. No one has ever been able to succeed at anything like that, right? But then we're supposed to believe that on 9/11, all those things happened in one day, and it was like a crystal clear day, and nothing eventful going on that day. Of course, they're going to catch these irregular behaviors, and they have plenty of time. See, that's what I don't know. I feel like maybe everything that we were shown on camera, any footage that you can possibly find on 9/11 might just be fake, and I think that they just did a standard demolition on the buildings or whatever, or however they made them do. And then, and that happened. And you had to have been there live in person to see it. And so they know there's a limited number of people. And then with those people, you can quickly send agents in to like convince them, yeah, you didn't see the plane that just hit. I swear to God, there was a plane that just hit, and just convince people by herd mentality that, yeah, that's what they just experienced, even though they really personally didn't. They just were oh, shockingly, look, the Twin Towers just are doing a demolition. And they saw that. And then what they saw on TV looked a lot like that. So they're like, yeah, I was there. I saw it all. And it's really not that far fetched. It's just a carefully played mind control op. It's basically 1984 in action. Right there. And then everything that you see on TV is fake. They throw in the airplanes, the whole, any footage of the towers and any of that stuff that day. It's all CGI.
But then I don't want Jeremy to think I'm dodging the question, because his question was what I thought was like 100% real. So I heard you, Jeremy.
Well, you gave a good answer. I thought.
No, that wasn't a good answer because I was still arguing it. The forest fires that happened, 4 or 5 months ago? And all the footage here in the United States, I buy it. It happened. I think maybe about a year ago this time, there was like this whole incident in JFK Airport where they thought that someone had a gun and they were shooting the gun, blah, blah, blah. I was there, so that was real. There is stuff. I'm so far removed from the media right now. So I'm not saying everything is like bogus. God, I don't want people to think that. I'm saying that there are times when they take a situation and run with it, or create a situation that suits their needs, etc. But I don't buy the Boston bombing. It's just silly. I mean, either they're lying about what happened or they redid the footage. I mean, it's freaking silly.
Jeremy, how familiar are you with these American so-called, false flags?
Well, actually, I mean, I know of the events, but I mean, I haven't studied them from the sort of the conspiracy theorist angle really very much. I mean, I have heard quite a lot of the claims made about them. I probably know more about 9/11 than the others, but I don't know much about 9/11. So a little bit about Sandy Hook. Most of what I see, I have to say, it appears to be, you know, usually it's mostly baseless conjecture. It's usually people saying, you know, this person is in this situation, this really unusual situation that I've never been in, and I think they should be behaving differently. There's a lot of that sort of thing, a lot of stuff about, you know, this doesn't look how it should, or you know, and I think it's very difficult to really draw those conclusions.
Have you seen the stuff about how
do a lot? I think is they get photos of these events, and then they pick things up from the photo. They say, why is this person looking in the other direction, and things like that. When you know, that kind of thing happens in photographs, you know.
No, it doesn't, Jeremy. These people at Sandy Hook. Let's bring up Sandy Hook. Let's bring up the fact that these were all babies, first graders, that got gunned down. Supposedly, most of them shot 5 or 6 times a piece, which is freaking ridiculous. We got this guy, comes in, sets up a tent, takes pictures of the children, comes back and shows the parents pictures. Please, that would not happen in this old girl's lifetime. You're not going to come back. Show me a picture of my youngin'.
To compare that to make that conclusion. I mean, that's a unique event. You know,
no, it's not that unique.
You aren't able to say what would normally happen in this situation because
you would, Jeremy.
There
Think about
another situation like that, is there really?
There's certain standards, Jeremy. There's certain standards when it comes to a parent and the child.
Put your heart in the same place. You got a 5-6-year-old kid that they're claiming got shot 5 or 6 times. You are going to identify your child by a picture. That child is going to stay in a tent all night with this goofy guy who has no fucking idea his left from his right. It's not going to happen. Then you're going to get on camera the next day. Robbie Parker, please. This guy was prompting himself to get into character, to cry. Dude, I'm not going to be able to get into character.
I've seen the Robbie Parker thing. I mean, that just isn't why I see. You know, it just isn't. I see. You know, I see someone who's in a difficult situation that he isn't used to. You know, just trying to deal with it. I mean, another one that was pointed out to me was there's an interview with a couple and their daughter, I think it is, and the father has kind of got his arm around the daughter, and she's kind of wriggling a little bit. Do you know that one?
I know that.
I mean, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I think that's from Sandy Hook, but you know, when I see
here's the whole thing.
I just think people are just, you know, they're not seeing it in its context. You know, they're not.
They are though. This is the thing, though.
They're not thinking about how television programs are made and what that.
They are.
And what that reporter
My dad
would have said to those people before they went live. You know, she would have told them, you need to sound like this, and you know what I mean. And one of the, you know, the father's trying to comply, and the daughter's forgotten about it, and you know, people do, you know, they do odd things in those sort of situations, or what are apparently odd things, because you know. Sometimes they sound odd because, you know, I've edited, when I used to edit video, you know, I've edited video for news reports for people before. And, you know, I did one once for someone. She did 36 takes of this one paragraph, you know, a single paragraph of speech that she had to say, but she did like 30 odd takes of it. And by the time you get to the last one, you know, it's when you've seen the previous 36 takes, it's very evident to you that she said this multiple times before. It sounds like she's acting, like she's saying words, but simply because she said it a lot of times. And of course, we don't see any of that. We just see when CNN cut live to the scene and she's got them lined up with a microphone ready, and they just say this, parrot out the stuff they've just been and rehearsed 4 or 5 times before the camera got there. Sorry, I'll shut up.
I don't think it happens that way. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I was embroiled in a situation where the media was there with the cameras on me and my brother and my dad. And I'm not even going to go into everything because it's no one's business. But what I'm here to fucking tell you is I couldn't speak on that to this day without breaking down in tears. It's impossible. It won't happen. That was my father. Let's not even talk about one of my babies being gunned down, shot 6 times, left in a tent all freaking night. I'm sorry, but human instinct, human behavior is as such. We are beasts of habit. We behave a certain way. These people did not behave in that way. Not even close.
But what would your habit be for how you behave at a mass shooting?
I couldn't speak.
How would you have a habit?
Because it just comes to you. Here's my father, for instance. He's passed away. He's known throughout the community. Cameras are out there. They're trying to film this stuff. I'm freaking beside myself. I can't stand up. I can't speak. I can't. My brother is freaking hitting people. This is normal behavior. This is what people do. Show me that emotion in people when you're saying that their family got gunned down or whatever, and I'll buy it.
Well, people commonly, what the research shows is that people in these sorts of situations, in deeply traumatic situations, commonly what they do is they have massive mood swings, and they actually flick between deep sadness and what has been described as mirth, as like almost comical happiness, and that there's good sound psychological reasons for that. Is because when you're in a deeply traumatic situation, you have to have a coping mechanism, and that's what those moments of mirth are. They're that coping mechanism kicking in to stop you from giving up at a time when that's the last thing that you need to do. So
no, I get it, Jeremy. I do.
So you often, and often, criticisms I see of these things, this person isn't sad enough, or this person's too sad, or with what's his name, Robbie Doodah, he sort of chuckled a little bit before he went on and did his thing. This is one of the main things he's criticized for, and this is, people say, hey, he wouldn't do that. He would be sad. Well, no, that's exactly what he would do, and research after research after research supports that idea. Repeatable experiment shows that to be true.
I'm sorry, but I'm of the mind that you can't put someone who is that traumatized on camera without a real reaction. I am telling you, my dad, all that stuff happened to me so many years ago. I was 13, but put me on camera tomorrow, and the reaction is going to be the same.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I can remember when my dad died. I was 15 when my dad died, and at the time I lived with my stepmother, my dad's second wife, and her 2 sons. So, and this relationship was only a couple of years old, so they weren't that attached to my dad. I mean, obviously they knew him, and there was some sadness, but he wasn't their dad. anyway, the day he died, I can remember the day he died. Obviously, this awful atmosphere in our house, you know, and I can remember I walked into the room where we were watching TV, and my stepbrother was there with his guitar, and he's just kind of strumming away on this guitar, just plucking a few notes. And nobody says anything. Nobody knows what to say. And, you know, because we're only young lads, you know, you don't really know how to deal with a death. And especially when it was my father, you know, they didn't really know what to say to me. And my brother just played like the first 4 bars of the Death March, you know, like do, 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 you know, like that. And it was, we all just burst out laughing. It's just one of the funniest moments of my life. And it, you know, and I can still remember it now, which is what, you know, nearly 40 years later.
I understand what you're saying, but
we do all sorts of things that you just cannot imagine, you know, that,
yeah,
I mean,
but we're talking.
if you think about that, it's so offensive. It's a deeply, deeply offensive thing to do. But at that moment, it was just what was needed, you know.
But we're talking about trauma, and why I'm mentioning trauma is because anyone who has been through extreme trauma recognizes trauma. Someone who has been through extreme trauma can look into the eyes of another and see it. I mean, I can't explain this to someone who has not, but yes, trauma recognizes trauma. You have deaths that just happen. It happens, and it's sad and it's fucked up. And then you have deaths that are traumatic, and they're like out there, and it's extreme, and it's freaking retching. I did not see trauma in these people's eyes. I didn't. And I know trauma. I know. And we can agree to disagree on this, which is cool. You know, I'm like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see it. I didn't. And I know trauma. And you'll just have to trust me on it.
Okay.
Well, Arwen joined us in the chat and says, false flags are standard operating procedure for militaries since the Renaissance. And, you know, personally, I've seen some actors recycled in some of these events, or, you know, I've seen evidence of that, and it's pretty shocking. So I just thought I threw that in there.
I mean, I kind of said the same thing. Like this is an action of freaking military. This is war. And I know Jeremy is this great guy. He's awesome. And he has this
Well, thank you very
really
much.
good and stuff. But I live in America, and I'm telling you, you know, it's war here. It's freaking war. So they're employing these things, and false flags are just one of them. I'm not saying all of them are like that, not everything. I made a video about it like 5 months ago, 6 months ago, and I posted in that video the things that I thought were really fake. I made it clear, you know, but I always say, if you think that something is fishy or it's not right, the first question to ask yourself is, to what end?
Yeah, who benefits? Who does it make look bad? I think it's all about the social dynamics. I think that the governments are all about playing society against each other, because it's more of a corralling war against us than it is America versus Syria or America versus Russia. It's about America versus Americans. It's about United Kingdom versus Britons and Scotsmen and Welsh, and you name it.
Well, we should always
I mean,
be at war with the Welsh.
What was that? Sorry.
I said we should always be at war with the Welsh. You know, they need to be oppressed by the English. Yeah. That's their role.
Oh gosh.
I just thought I'd throw in a bit of blatant racism, BB, just to hang out a bit, you know.
Oh shit!
It's more nationalism than racism.
I'm gonna get going, guys. I've enjoyed it. Jeremy, I saw you on here, and I was like, "Oh, I got to get on there."
And I can't believe I managed to get in a hangout with Patricia Steere, though. That's like one of my ultimate goals fulfilled now.
I'm glad you jumped in.
She's a good person. I mean,
yeah.
She's just a lady that is speaking her truth. I mean, I'm not trying to like undermine her here. I'm just saying she's like me and everybody else. She's sweet and kind, and she's got feelings, and you know, she cares, and it's her truth. And if that's her truth, then I respect it. And at the same time, she respects other people for their truth.
Right.
So, and we love you, Jeremy. You know we love us some Gempanda.
But great job, BB. Thanks for that.
Hey.
In fact, when I hear people talking mean about you, I just want to go sock them in the face.
Yeah, don't stick up for me too much. It doesn't do your reputation any good to hang out with me.
For me to hang out with you?
Yeah. For anyone these days. I'm the evil troll with all the troll account, all the suck accounts, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna maybe ask you about that, but whatever. I don't care.
Well, you make sure when I get off here, Jeremy, to tell how you showed those accounts. How many you got, by the way? 56.
Well, I actually had 90 when he showed them, but then I topped out to 100, and it won't let you do any more. So then I just deleted them all and started again, and I'm up to about 40 now. So, but yeah, but let me just say very quickly then, what I did was I showed that page myself. I didn't do it by mistake. I deliberately showed it to make the point that I'm constantly banned in every hangout I go, you know, every Flat Earth hangout I go in. I'm just like instantly banned. And I was making the point about how many accounts I'd had to have for that reason. That was the whole point. And the other thing I would say is that the vast majority of my accounts are called Gempanda something. So, you know, that's not really deceptive. I'm obviously not pretending to be something else. Are named, you know, are meant to like imitate another user. So they're not like cloned. And none of them have any channel art. So, you know, they're obviously sort of my trolls. Do you know what I mean? So, but also I think some of them were kind of taken out of context, because things like, you know, where I've got one called Gempanda the Unbannable, and that was sort of very, very sort of immature and psychopathic. Well, you know, that's a joke. If you ban me from your chat and then I instantly reappear with an account called Gempanda the Unbannable, you know, that's funny at that time. Well, the idea is it's funny to me. You know, it may be a bit puerile, but it's a joke. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a laugh. That's all. You know, there's a few of my accounts where, you know, did have quite nasty things, but that's when people are saying really, really nasty things to me and instantly banning me. So the only way I can get a message across is to name the account, what the message I want to say, and then when they ban me, that account name remains. You know, even though they've deleted what I had to say, the name itself remains. So that was really why all those accounts exist. It's just really to take the piss out of Poncho Pete, and he he enjoyed it. He took part in it. He knew what I was doing. It's all a bit of a game, you know. It's a bit of fun, really. That's most of it.
I totally agree with you. And again, I know that people are not going to like what I'm saying here, but I've never blocked people from leaving comments. Here's some familiar ones. Raquim, he is my buddy. He still loves me. When I say something that strikes his fancy, he leaves a comment. Terman, because if you block these people, you're taking their freaking voice.
Yeah, there's no need, is there? It's YouTube, you know. And I think
it's like
in a live chat, you know what I mean, isn't it? You know,
yeah, if you got to take yourself so seriously that like you have to ban people because they're out. I mean, if they're out there making threats of physical violence or
doxing, or if they're breaking the rules,
yeah, like
fair enough. But
okay, that's a little bit like it's a
that's
security.
totally different.
It's a matter of security. But when they're just like, "Hey, you dumb flat earther, the moon's a fucking sphere. You dumb flat tard." Okay, that's cool. Fine, because I mean, in my life, I've just spammed and trolled the shit out of things in the past when I didn't agree with what they said. So who might have fucking blocked someone from doing the same thing? Because it's a journey.
It's huge.
It is a journey.
It's a bit of a laugh. We go in there and we talk shit to each other. You know.
But the interesting thing about it all is if you're willing to let these comments play out and react to them appropriately, because what I tell like Terman and Raquim is, oh my God, you still love me. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to see it. Then you get this rapport where then they're willing to like argue with you in this totally civil manner.
And they're trying to communicate with you. That's why they're trolling you in the first place.
Right.
Exactly. And is it Germanicus Keith?
Yeah.
What a nice dude. I mean, besides Jeremy and Terman and Raquim, and this guy hit me so hard in the beginning, this Raquim guy. I was like, oh my God, I really just want to get rid of him.
He crushed on you.
Nah, he didn't. He was arguing ether with me, and we were like back and forth. And so then the next time he left a comment, I was like, dude, I'm so glad to know you still love me. And I know he was tickled by it. I showed him that I was a good sport, you know, because he kept saying something about his comments getting banned and maybe they're not getting through. And I'm like, what? Of course they're getting through. At the end of the day, if I'm willing to make a statement, then I better be willing to eat it by those that don't agree. So yeah, I don't ban people. I don't think Jeremy's ever left me a mean comment, ever.
No, I haven't. Like I say, my trolling isn't random. I don't do every flat earther. I do the ones that annoy me. So I think I've probably done VB in his early days.
Oh, yeah, probably.
But if you take someone's voice, you know, if I'm going to use my voice and tell you, Jeremy, this is how I feel, and this is what I believe. If I take your voice and reply, it's kind of like a slap in the face, and it kind of excites you and gets you to going, and let me just keep typing some more shite.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I always say this, that, you know, trolls, I think Tim says this, trolls are created, not born. You know, when people ban me, it makes me worse, you know. And I always think as well, it's unnecessary because, you know, if they said, oh, Jem, we want to keep this chat to flat earthers only tonight, I'd just go. I'd just say, all right, okay, thanks, bye. And that would be it. That's all that's required. Be like one polite sentence. But if you ban me, fuck you. Sorry, VB.
Right. No, dude, I feel you. I don't even have a real problem with Tim. And Tim has definitely corrected me more than once, you know. But at the end of the day, I think he cares. I could be wrong, but I think this cat cares. I really, really do. And so anyone that's willing to sit there forever and argue my point or Patricia's point or Nathan's point or whoever's point, there's a passion behind it, because there is a passion behind what I do. So let them say what they want to say.
Plus, here's the thing. I'm all for, standing by your word. So if you have an identity and you have a calling card on YouTube and you are Gempanda2012, or you are Validation Boy, or you are Barbi Mcgill, it's your name. So when you put it out there, you expect people to relate to what you're saying, and for you to be consistent in your beliefs and your presentation of what you believe and how you want to act and all of it. So I don't think people should even have a single sock account, not one.
Right.
And I think it really comes down to if Jeremy wanted to do this, that, and the other under his proper name and make the proper things known and do what's necessary, you could lose all your sock accounts and just live on your name, live on the merit of your name.
Well, I mean, really,
exactly.
Check me out. I made all these hit piece videos against all these people. Okay. And then I turned my ass around and I started having different feelings and set my priorities in a different direction, and
because
now
the truth of the matter, BB, is if you met these guys in person, they would probably like you,
and vice versa.
Right. And usually that's the case. As I say, you can always find things to disagree on, but you can find things to agree on as well. And I always find there's something I agree on with people, but there's usually a fair bit we disagree on as well.
Well, I have gotten hammered so many times for supporting Jed. I don't even want to talk about it because, wow, I went in the chat one night and everyone in there was like, oh, you're all supporting Jed and Jed's being ugly to people. And just because he's a fellow Scotsman doesn't mean you should support him. And I was like, I'm supporting his truth. I respect it. And if he has balls enough to come out on camera and say, this is who I am, this is what I think, then do it. I harbor no illness towards him. I mean, I
like Jed a lot. I think he's great. And
I think he's probably a great dude.
He has this ability to vocalize what I'm thinking, that he really hits the nail on the head for me a lot. And I really like that.
I find it to be a beautiful thing that someone so notoriously far on my side of things, and you, Jeremy, being so notoriously deep and far on your side of things, for us to each be so entrenched in our sides of this argument and everything, or of this whole scene and everything. The fact that you and me have come together and organically, independent from anybody else, had our own interactions, and I have you as a featured guest on my live stream as your original channel name, and you were on with another panelist that you thought you may never have been ever shared a panel with, and history happened, and we're living proof and testament to the probability or potential of goodwill,
right,
in this whole fucking thing.
Absolutely. And I think, having been in the sort of what they call the great debate, the atheist Christian debate that's been going on for some time, people in there, they get cross with each other and it gets vitriolic at times, but people, they find a way to maintain the conversation, because on both sides of the fence, there are lots of people who enjoy having that conversation, and there are lots of people who enjoy listening to it. So it's, it doesn't have to be, no one wins a debate No one ever wins. No one ever is destroyed. It doesn't happen. The people who agreed with that person say he destroyed the other guy, and the people
there was that one
who
time
agreed
when
with the other guy say he destroyed that person. There's nothing to fear from argument and debate.
That's you said it freaking perfectly, Jeremy. Fear. There's nothing to fear. I mean, just do it. Be who you are. Let other people be who they are, and don't fear it.
Right. It's just
fear.
It's just interesting to challenge other people's views and to see how well your challenges perform, and vice versa. To be on the receiving end of that.
And it's all just like what's in your head. What's in me head. What's in your head.
To me, it's a bit like a computer game. If you go online and you play against another human in a computer game, it's kind of like that. It's a test of that computer game could be a test of your intellect compared with their intellect. Well, it's like that, but you've just taken the complication of the game out of it, and it's just one intellect against the other.
It is,
fun.
and we're all people. At the end of the day, I think we really need to remember we're all just people. We're
right.
out here trying to grab onto something.
Yeah, and just the fact alone that there's people out there that are happily declaring themselves believers in something like the flat Earth. The fact that conspiracy theorist mentality and lifestyle, I guess you'd say, has gone that far is kind of a good thing. It's a testament to the achievement of not only the hive mind, but of the individual mind.
I agree. I harbor no ill will, not towards Jeremy or Tim. I mean, actually, I find Tim, the dude intrigues me. Honestly, I just want to jump inside of his head and pull it apart. But we're all people.
An interesting guy, no doubt about that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, you want to round it up? You want to say goodnight?
Yes. Thanks,
Yes.
Phoebe. It's been great. Really enjoyed it. And thanks, Barbie.
Thank you, guys. And Phoebe, you are awesome. You're a stand-up dude, man.
Yeah,
Thank
you
very
certainly
much.
are. And now I've been in the hangout with Patricia, I will never wash my microphone again.
Yes.
So, Jem, are you gonna, make a sample video of, what happened? You can use the chunk of my show if you want. Put out a little promo.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be
Go
great.
ahead.
Just so I can get me Patricia Steere bit.
And then all my.
I love you too, Barbie. Don't forget. I must say.
And then all your fans that are.
I'm a bit awestruck.
Yeah, then they can all see me and you together having a good time.
Yeah, definitely, BB. Thanks very much.
Okay, it's been an honor to have you on here, Miss Barbi Mcgill, and it's been an honor to have you on here, Gempanda2012, Jeremy. And this has been Validation Boy live stream. Oh, by the way, everyone needs to go over to They Lie Ohio, who's live streaming right now. And I just remembered he's live streaming right now. So everyone check out They Lie Ohio. Go there right now. This has been Validation Boy live stream, April 8th, 2017.